Orange Lounge Radio. With your hosts, Dark Sakura, Sky, and Loki.
This week, Team Drive Club hits another bump in the road as the studio is hit with a number of layoffs. But don't worry, Drive Club for PlayStation Plus is still coming. The game will be seeing bigger changes, and we'll tell you about them along with your comments, feedback, and more right now on the show where every gamer has a voice.
Orange Lounge Radio.
Hello, my friends out there on the internet, and welcome back to another week of the show where every gamer has a voice. It is Orange Lounge Radio, live for this March the 22nd, 2015, with the 591st episode of our show. My name is Rob Roberts, here with all of you to talk about video games, gaming culture, and the gamer lifestyle at the world's biggest diner table, virtually with all of you at VogNetwork.com and us here in studio. Over there, welcome back this week, Dark Sakura, or Jamie Summers.
Hi.
Welcome back. We missed you last week.
Thank you. I missed you too, but I was too far away to aim.
Well, hopefully your aim was improving through much practice.
Yes.
I heard on the flight back you were able to partake in your favorite pastime, Tumblr, from 10,000 feet in the air. Is that correct?
Yes, it was great. And I posted fan fiction.
Did you?
For the novelty of it.
Fanfic, the Mile High Fanfic Club.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
It was somewhere over Kansas.
Yes. I want to give a shout out to this, certainly at some point. And what better time than the top of the show? When you returned, you had some mail to catch up on, right? And what was one of the boxes that apparently had to go through customs to get to your house?
Well, we got a package from Ikuma JP, thank you, that included the Kunio-kun game that I had mentioned wanting, and lots and lots and lots and lots of Japanese snacks, which whatever these pear brittle things are.
Yeah, that pear chocolate brittle thing is so amazing.
Nothing but that for the rest of my life.
Right? Just dip me in a vat of it.
I did, though, leave the Melty Kiss at home, but I love Melty Kiss. It's one of my favorite Japanese candies.
That's why you left it at home. No, I was kidding.
No, I opened it and I put it aside.
Well, the Japanese care package from Akuma JP also contained, and I was really floored with this, a Wii Fit Trainer amiibo, which I've bitched and complained about on the show before, how I kind of gave up on amiibo because the early amiibo were so hard to get, and like I kind of just wanted the Wii Fit Trainer. So, but when I complain about stuff like that, that doesn't mean you have to buy it for me. I was really, really surprised and touched by that. And yes, the Japanese amiibo work here, so I won't have a problem training that to level 50 and maybe using it in a tournament someday. Who knows?
And for Loki, he got a Koopa, or Bowser as we call him.
Techmaster Loki.
Yes, I'll get lots of use out of that.
with all your copies.
One more thing, there was a Strider postcard for Dan, which
that's awesome.
Which he really, really liked.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Akuma JP, for taking care of us. We love care packages from other countries. Like obviously we got our care package from Japan. Sil has sent a care package from where she lives in not London before, and that's always great. So we love our care packages. Somebody in Belgium offered to send us one, didn't they? I think we got to make that happen. I might have neglected to send our address. But anyway, Techmaster Loki here, as he is every week. Yes, but I thought it was funny. I kind of saw the irony in you getting a Bowser amiibo, because sometimes your criticisms of Nintendo can be a little pointed. I thought it was hilarious.
Pointed in the right direction? Yes, I understand that.
I thought it was a little hilarious that you would get the villain of the series. I think that will be a nice decoration for your desk at work or something like that. It's great. How are you doing otherwise, Techmaster Loki?
I'm good. I'm testing out my second level, which is extremely hard.
I realize this Vogue Jam game is really, it's kind of transcended the jam at this point. It's just now the project that Loki said he would do that he'll finish when he's damn good and ready type of thing. But I will say I've looked over your shoulder, and this is the first time I've seen your game like really in motion like that, and it's impressive. Like, I could not build something like that. I'm a little intimidated by what you've done, Loki, which is probably totally against what we were trying to accomplish.
I've successfully finished the level, despite the fact that the level moves around a lot.
Good job. You can't even beat your own creation.
No, I did. I just did. It took me 4 minutes, but I managed to do it.
So your game will not be for the weak of heart.
Well, I've got to do some tweaks to it to make it a little bit easier. But it was.
You need a Bobby Blackwolf mode. Don't forget.
Well, no, I there will be like some sort of mode like that where you can just play stuff. But no, it's supposed to be challenging. But I just don't know where this is going to fit in yet. It's not necessarily going to be level 2. It's just the second level I'm making. So I have to figure out where I'm going to put it among everything.
All right. Going to our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com, because we do tape our show live every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, right after the Bobby Blackwolf show at the Voice of Geeks Network, vognetwork.com, vognetwork.com. And we have some comments in our chat, some pep talks for Loki in the chat room. Tiger Claw saying, all these delays for Loki's VOG Jam game sounds ambitious. It better live up to the hype. Now you know what the rest of the gaming industry goes through. This is why things are so secretive in the industry, because when you announce something years and years before it actually happens, everybody makes up this hype in their head. That's why I'm worried.
I don't know why they're hyped up about anything. It's
like Duke Nukem Forever.
I haven't been hyping up anything.
All right. This is why I worry for The Last Guardian. But anyway, that's a whole nother episode. Bobby Blackwolf in chat saying, the second level I created for my game was hard for me too. I moved it to the last level.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I sat there for a while trying to figure out what level 2 would be. And I'm like, I have to knock stuff out, and they'll figure that out later on. And that's really kind of the best way to go about it, because otherwise they'd be still sitting here going, what am I going to do for the second level?
SSG 100 Matt in our chat room saying, Loki uses the Blizzard development model, which means it should be great. And the Blizzard development model, it's ready when it's done. That's right. Soon. Trademark.
Well, I don't want to work on this forever, so it'll be ready a lot sooner than that, hopefully.
Or the Square Enix Yoshi P Final Fantasy 14 trademark. Please look forward to it. Please look forward to it. All right. Anyway, actually, they say that in all the Nintendo Directs too, don't they? Please look forward.
No, the Nintendo Direct ones are please understand.
Oh, please understand. That's right. Please understand. Yes. So every company has their own little catchphrase asking for your forgiveness. Anyway, somebody who might need to be asking for forgiveness this week, getting into our kickoff topic this week. No, all joking aside, a lot of people have a lot of feelings about this, and we're going to talk about a movie here at the top of the show for our kickoff topic this week. And movies are still important, even though this is a video gaming show. Sometimes it's important to see how our video games translate into movies. Obviously, we can talk about things like Mortal Kombat. That was a pretty decent video game movie, right? Or Street Fighter, which was a pretty horrific video game movie, but with some really cheesy, awesome moments, such as Raul Julia's entire performance. Rest in peace. And then you get things like Wreck-It Ralph, which was like really awesome. Tron, which was, it's kind of video game. Actually, Flynn's Arcade is very video game related, right? Also awesome. So I'm starting to think only Disney should touch video game movies. But this week we got to see the first trailer for the movie Pixels, which, if you haven't seen it, is out there online to watch. And this is a movie starring Adam Sandler, which you can interpret that however you like. And it seems, based on the trailer, the plot is that a time capsule from 1982 was sent into space, and there was some various pop culture things about the 80s.
Yeah, it wasn't a time it's like an actual...
a space time capsule or something, right?
Probe that they sent out with...
Yeah. Which they actually do things like that. Like, there are actually probes floating out in space, Lord knows where, that has, like, a picture of where Earth is located, like, on a map, and, like, pictures of humans. Like, we're here. Like, if you find this, come here. We're here. They actually have these types of things in space. So, I mean, it's not a completely implausible idea. But anyway, so this time capsule has video game moments in it, like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. So, apparently, the whole gist of the plot is whatever alien race finds it thinks we're threatening them with these creations. So, they send these pixelated creations to Earth to destroy us, because we've been very bad. And then the whole thing erupts into like a Michael Bay-looking movie. I don't know, like half Michael Bay, half Adam Sandler comedy. I'm not really sure what to think.
Roland Emmerich.
It was sensory overload a little bit for me. I got to start with Dark Sakura, because I got to watch her watching the trailer here for the first time in studio, and this was actually her reaction at the end of it. She goes, "No," click. That was it. That was the only word that no, click. Jamie, what you want to elaborate on your feelings? You were not pleased with what you saw?
No. My feelings are no. All of the no. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was remotely cute about that was the Pac-Man biting the dude's hand.
Mm-hmm. Was that really the creator of Pac-Man?
I think so.
It wouldn't surprise me if they kind of figured out how to get him involved with the movie or whatever. Give somebody enough money, they'll do anything. I'd be in the movie for the right price,
It's just fluff for the masses.
Yeah. Fluff for the masses. Well, I mean, but
Wreck-It Ralph had a plot.
It did. Well, and this movie will have a plot, Jamie. I don't think,
It will have a plot made out of cream cheese. Kind of squishy, and if you leave it out too long, it'll go bad.
Okay, and they're saying in chat it is not really the creator. It was not. I've never seen what the guy looks like.
I didn't bother looking it up because it's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. So,
I mean, the premise is weak at best. Mm-hmm. It's already been done, and no. And maybe I'm a little bitter and jaded right now, given that I haven't been in the best mood. Mm-hmm. But no.
I don't know.
I would watch a movie made out of candy that's sitting on that table before I would watch that movie.
Here's my concern is that my concern is obviously where I think many of your concerns are. When I see Adam Sandler and I see that guy from The King of Queens, Kevin James, which was a horrifically unfunny show. I'm sorry.
Hey, at least David Spade isn't in the movie yet.
We think.
Or Rob Schneider. It could be worse. This
is the problem. When I see those people, I expect a certain movie that I already know I'm probably not going to care for. Now, I will admit, back when I was 22, Adam Sandler was really funny.
No, don't get me wrong. Adam Sandler in his prime was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the movies were stupid, but you kind of knew what you were getting. And, like, everything up to, I think, even maybe borderline Little Nicky was good. Yeah. And it's just, he started going family. And he started trying to, like, it just, when he branched out into, like, the family movies, like, with Big Daddy and stuff, it just started kind of going downhill from there.
Yeah.
And the only movie I've seen him in that I liked was The Wedding Singer.
Oh, yeah. The Wedding Singer will always be, like the pinnacle, the climax of his career, I think, for many of us. But I even like stuff like
scene.
Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, Billy Madison.
I haven't seen Happy Gilmore, though. I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
That one's great because that's where he gets in the fight with Bob Barker. The Price is Wrong, bitch. Like that is legendary cinema right there. I mean, as far as like sophomore humor goes, that's it for me.
But I used to have my little chat sound that I would play that was all bullshit. With him singing it very loudly. That was my thing.
Oh, interesting. In our chat room over at live.network.com, SSJ100 Matt says Rob Schneider is being avoided these days because of his anti-vax comments. Is that true? I had no idea that was the thing. I thought that all of that. I don't want to.
He's not being.
I know. I was like, I don't want to get into that controversy, but I will say, I always thought that was all pegged on Jenny McCarthy. I always thought like she was the.
No, he's been in like all the different grown-ups movies and stuff that they've been doing, and those have been popular. But those are also really stupid movies. I haven't watched them, so to be fair, I can't really judge them. But they look dumb. It doesn't look as funny as like say the older stuff. Like that's kind of what I compare it to. It's like, is this going to be as funny or funnier than Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore?
I will say this much, and it kind of goes back to even Dark Sakura's like succinct little summary of her feelings is that. Hey, video game. I haven't even said my thought yet, and you're already laughing at me.
No, clerical error showed up in the chat room. Said, "I think Rob Schneider is being avoided because he's Rob Schneider."
that could be right. That could be right. But anyway, love it or hate it or whatever. At least you have to kind of recognize, like, okay, video games are embedded in our pop culture. And like, when people our age, in the and even, folks in their 20s and teens, 30s, you look back on what were the 80s all about. You think about Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and these types of video games. So, I mean, it's really only a matter of time that video games are not a niche thing. They're really for everybody.
But like,
everybody knows who Pac-Man is. Everybody knows who Donkey Kong is.
But here's my problem, and I only have a problem with them being in this movie and that stuff. It's just you're showing me a trailer, which is kind of like highlighting not necessarily. I would say probably some good parts of the movie, and you have dialogue like, Pac-Man's a bad guy? I mean, that's just fucking terrible. That is just this terrible writing. And that's what kind of bothers me is that kind of nonsense. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be an okay movie. I don't think it's going to be like, fantastic, but it's kind of along the lines of like Grandma's Boy. Grandma's Boy was a little bit about game development. I mean,
that's right. I totally forgot about that movie.
It's pixel shit, the movie.
Maybe. Do you think Aaron should be suing them?
Yes, you should sue them.
I love it.
just like, I mean,
I should sue them for having thought of shitty pixels first.
I like, I like Peter Dinklage as, some crazy guy that's in there. I mean,
He's supposed to be the Billy Mitchell type guy.
I think that's fantastic.
If he's selling sauce, that would be great.
He could actually be really funny in that type of role. There are little moments where I'm like, I guess I could sit through it.
And it's something that they like the subject. It's not like they're just like, okay, we're doing it for a paycheck. I mean, they probably are, but they seem to. It's not like someone paid them to make this movie.
Yeah, like Adam Sandler probably played a few video games in his day.
Yeah, so I think that they'll do the best they can, but it's just like, what kind of expectations do you have for an Adam Sandler movie? I mean, really, the bar is not that high. It shouldn't be too hard to go into that and, not be let down, because it's Adam Sandler. It's not like, it's not going to be a brilliant movie. It's just going to be kind of like, ha ha ha. That's silly.
Very interesting counter thought from our chat room here, and I want to state this, and then we'll wrap up and move on to our gaming weeks. But Kaijudo in chat talking about the movie, saying the movie is a big spoof on gamers. It's not going to push games into the mainstream. It's just going to make gamers look more losers. So make gamers look more like losers. Do you think that could be a danger, that it actually is making fun of games the entire time, and that gamers are all fat and lazy and getting high?
I think they did that already in Grandma's Boy. I think they've already gone that route in Grandma's Boy. But this one I think is more of like maybe making fun of people that are like 40 years old that are like trying to be professional arcade game players.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that they're making fun of Billy Mitchell, and I think that's hilarious. But
what are you trying to say? Because I'm going to be 40.
You're not a professional video game player.
Yeah, but
okay?
I have a podcast.
You have a podcast. You're not like trying to like. I don't see an arcade cabinet being used in your. Being used in your living room, and I don't see you trying to.
I have arcade machines in my house that are actually being used.
So close to getting that burger.
And which world records are you trying to break?
The ones in my house.
So that's what I'm saying. That's I think what it's making fun of. But we'll see. I mean, it's a silly movie with a silly premise. They took a short animation and they tried to throw a story to it.
All right.
Whatever.
YYR has just joined chat and said, please cease and desist use of my trademark pixel shits. This has been Konami's legal department. Thank you very much. Love it. Also, one more thought from the other side, because I kind of gave a really anti-comment there from Kaijudo. I know Tiger Claw has a more favorable opinion. I want to read his thought here in chat. Tiger Claw says, keep in mind that Pixels is directed by Chris Columbus. He's a big-time director who's directed some of the best movies in the past couple years. Home Alone, Harry Potter 1 and 2, Mrs. Doubtfire. Okay, I do love me some Mrs. Doubtfire, but that was Robin Williams' credit. But okay, Chris Columbus is an A-list director for sure. That's a fair counterpoint.
Gremlins.
So there you go. That's Gremlins.
Okay, Gremlins is the best Christmas movie ever, and if you say Die Hard, you're wrong.
Die Hard.
Actually, Gremlins 2 is better. Because Gremlins 2 had Tony, what was his face? That was the smart gremlin?
I think the best Christmas movie ever is Eyes Wide Shut. But that's... Anyway, that's just for the last line in the entire movie. Just makes the whole 3 hours worth it. Anyway, Loki, tangent, choo-choo. Last thought on Pixels, then we'll move on.
I'd go see it. I mean, I don't know. It looks entertaining, and that's really it. I mean, it's a popcorn movie. It's not something... Yeah. I'm not expecting like a cinematic masterpiece or anything like that. There will be other movies for that. This is what this is. I don't understand why people are getting mad about it. And so what? It's an Adam Sandler movie that's saying that gamers are stupid or like, living in the basements and stuff like that. Who gives a shit what Adam Sandler thinks? Does anybody really take credit to what Adam Sandler thinks? And like, do you see casts going, wow, Adam Sandler thinks that, gamers are really lazy. I think they're all lazy. No one gives a fuck. Nobody cares what Adam Sandler thinks. But you know what? He's entertaining.
It's just Adam Sandler sitting there with that whole split screen. It's Adam Sandler and Nancy Grace. Like, just, these are our opinions.
It's just a movie. Just go to be entertained. If you don't want to see it, then don't go see it. That's all it is. It's not trying to send a message. It's just fun. That's it.
Right. I Loki, I will go see a matinee with you. How does that sound? We'll go see a matinee.
Matinee is definitely what that deserves because I don't think it
Dark
deserves a
Sakura?
full ticket price.
Could we I don't know, somehow hit you over the head with a baseball bat and put you in the trunk of the car and make you go?
If you feed me after, maybe.
Okay, if for food, I would do it. For food, I would do it.
I'd do it for a burrito.
All right.
You go
And
for
I
the
would
popcorn.
never hit Dark Sakura with a baseball bat unless it was plastic and orange. That may have happened one time at a DDR tournament. One time, people.
That was great. I still have the bat.
Yes.
I'm not sure though if I appreciate the fact that they're driving a lot of Mini Coopers in the movie, but whatever.
SSG100 Matt says it's a VOG movie date. We haven't done a good OLR or VOG movie date in a long time. But I think the last thing we all went and saw was Avatar. Was our last movie date. So we need to have another VOG
Really?
movie date.
You
I think
know-
so.
I thought we saw Tron.
Did we all go see that as a group?
No,
I
maybe
guess
not.
No,
No,
I went
we
to see
just
it in
all
D-Box.
saw it multiple
I went
times.
to see it in D-Box. That actually should be a regular thing that we do, the OLR movie review.
Yeah. Why not?
Do one like once a month.
Yeah. Or I don't know, see if we can invade maybe John from Critical Myth will let us crash a show or something like, hey, what's up? We're here. We're going to talk about a movie because you got the movie show.
No, we should do like a 15-minute podcast called the OLR movie review,
Here's the thing that's really annoying.
followed
though.
by food.
Sure, sign me up for another podcast. What the hell?
Here's the thing that's really annoying though about that movie is they have this little hidden thing in the trailer. I don't know if you saw towards the very end. It's a little flash for like some stupid game that they made or whatever.
Oh, Lord.
It's like a fictional arcade.
Of course.
chick that's gonna be
the game
in.
tie-in. How could I forget the inevitable game tie-in?
So they have that going. It's a mobile game or something that you
of
can play.
course,
I
of
just-
course.
I just want it to be Cortana going, you guys are stupid.
All right, on that note, let's talk about our gaming weeks and the types of video games that we have been playing this week. We always like to start off towards the beginning of the show talking about that because it gives you a good frame of reference where we're coming from as gamers. Dark Sakura, how was your gaming week or 2 weeks?
It wasn't. I maybe played a couple of... Actually, no, I couldn't log into my Steam account in Alabama for some reason.
You told me about a new one. On
My
3DS?
Steam account?
No, your 3DS.
I'm
Oh,
kidding.
sorry. Okay.
I had a very fun dinner with our friend Jay, who lives in Pensacola. He came all the way out there to see me, and he got me a copy of Theatrhythm.
Oh, awesome.
So I started it, but I really didn't have a whole lot of time to play. My intention was to play it on the plane, but the guy next to me was just being a butt, so instead I played on Tumblr.
You can't play Theatrhythm on the plane anyway. I've tried. It's too
Yeah.
loud.
Well, I might have my headphones.
Even with headphones,
Yeah.
it's really hard to hear.
So I really didn't play too much of anything except just whatever was on my phone. Like I played some Peggle on the flight. I played some Bejeweled because those are like my two. I need something really quick and easy to play games. Most of the time, I actually did write work on my fan fiction a little bit. So there was a touch of Dragon Age to it, but honestly, I don't think I was in much of a mindset to play much of anything and enjoy it. So,
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah, I really was more focused on my family. Oh, actually, I went to my friend Derek's house. And his daughter Brandon was playing Dragon Age Inquisition. So I sort of gave her a few hints here and there. She's like, what do I do here? I'm like, do this. Oops, that was the wrong one. Resume your save, do the other things. And then we pretty much gushed about Cullen's butt the whole time.
Oh my gosh. How old is she?
16?
Oh, okay. I guess
Something like that?
that's old enough to be talking about butts.
This old enough to be talking about butts. She's got a cool dad.
Mm-hmm.
She's smart as a whip. Into Homestuck. So she's one of my people. Homestuck
That's
and
great.
Cullen's butt.
Fair enough.
And I'm getting her started on Mass Effect.
Oh, Lord, help us all. No, Mass Effect's right. Now's the time to get started, just before that announcement of, I'm sure that's coming at E3 this year, of whatever the fourth game's going to be.
Oh, yes.
If that doesn't happen at E3, I'm going to be so mad. So mad.
I've also told her what my biggest problem is with Mass Effect, that every time I start trying to romance somebody else, nope, Garrus. So...
All right. Well, we'll see if she ends up, Team Garrus or Team Thane, or maybe, like people like me, Team Caden. So we'll see.
Or she could go for Trainer.
Who knows?
Or watch Kelly be incredibly slutty. Which is Kelly's right to be slutty if she wishes.
That's right. Options.
Options.
People. Options. All right. Loki, what were your options for the game you played this week?
I just played Final Fantasy this week, so I both Final Fantasy Type 0 HD and the Final Fantasy 15 demo. So Type 0 HD, I played that a little bit last night. Definitely a very violent game. The thing I had a little trouble with is they just kind of dump a ton of history on you, like all in the beginning scene. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what's going on. Somebody's at war with somebody else. I don't know who these people are, who's dying, who's good, who's bad, whatever. It's hard to follow. And then the actual combat and stuff is okay. It definitely feels like a PSP game, since it was at one time. And the way they have everything kind of broken down. I don't know. It's kind of neat. Also sort of like a anime, vibe to it, with this like class. They have like a neat dynamic to them. So I don't know. I'll try to maybe playing through the whole thing. We'll see how my patience is with that. And then let's see, Final Fantasy 15. That demo is pretty awesome. I was just trying to grind a little bit in there, and I ended up going through, and I did through the first behemoth encounter, and then I don't know. For me, it was just like, ooh, things, I'm going to go kill them. And then I would go kill them and keep doing that. I don't know. I still couldn't quite get the whole weapon system that they have with, picking which weapon you want to wear. I ended up, I think, settling on having the pole arm as my main weapon, which actually, that seems to work out. It's kind of a good balance between speed and damage. So I stuck with that. But it's a little kind of confusing on how to balance your weapons and everything in there. So I don't know, I tried to experiment that a little bit.
Can I read a quick comment from our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com? Bobby Blackwolf says, I find it funny that the opening credits scene in Type 0 is blocked for streaming and recording. My assumption was because it was the song that was playing over.
Yeah, it was only the song that they did.
Yeah, it's just the length of the song while it was blocked. So there must be some weird rights thing with it.
I wish it wouldn't show that unless I'm fucking recording, because it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I saw that and I'm like, am I recording?
Loki,
did I hit the button by mistake?
Here's the thing, maybe actually it doesn't show up because you always are recording the last 15 minutes of gameplay. So maybe if you turn that off, which most people don't bother to do because, oh, okay, cool, it's saving gameplay. So I bet if you turn that off, I bet you would not see that message anymore. I haven't tried it.
I don't know,
Just
whatever.
Crazy thought.
It wasn't a big deal. I was just kind of, I've never seen this before, but all right. But yeah, anyways, back to 15. So I don't know, it's okay. I mean, it's just such a small portion of the game, and it's not finished yet. I do think that the graphics don't seem to be like that impressive to me. I mean, it does.
Really?
It looks very PlayStation 3 to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of.
You need to get your TV fixed, because I totally disagree with you there. I think a lot of people will, Loki. I didn't. No, I was not getting a PlayStation 3 vibe from it. I will say the frame rate maybe, because there were definitely noticeable parts where the frame rate started dipping a little bit, and I was like, okay, again, it's early, not done. I'm not going to hold that against the game, but I was like, okay, this game still needs work. But
maybe I'd have to go back and play a PlayStation 3 game or something.
I don't know.
But I don't know. It was okay. I'd still, I'm definitely going to buy it when it comes out. But I still will play through the demo, because I want to go kill all of the things. I did think it was annoying, though. This, I was mentioning, had an issue where I was fighting a big group of monsters. A couple times, actually, I was fighting a big group of monsters. There was one time, it was before the first camp. And so I was fighting monsters, and it got dark. And these monsters kept coming, and I just kept fighting them and fighting them and fighting them. And, the stupid soldiers in the ships that kept dropping down, I'd kill them, and then I'd go back to fighting some more monsters, and then they'd fucking respawn again and drop down again, and I'd kill them and go back to fighting some more monsters again, and then they keep coming and coming. It's like, shit, what the hell? This is kind of annoying. It's like, I thought this was supposed to be a little bit random, but it just kept respawning in the same spot rather quickly. So that was the only annoying thing that I saw with the combat. I just ended up having to run away and just go into my actual campsite. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That was my week, Final Fantasy.
Okay. My week, very similar to yours, although I played a lot of my standbys like Final Fantasy 14 and Diablo 3. We're going to get to it later in the show, but they made a big announcement with Diablo 3 this week, so it motivated me like, oh crap, I got to finish the hardcore character I've been working on for the season. So I've been trying to finish some of that. But like Loki, I had a Final Fantasy week mostly, played a little bit of Type 0, and I definitely agree the story is kind of hard to follow in the beginning, but I also chalk that up to a lot of Final Fantasy games are hard to follow in the beginning. I mean, like, even 13, like, I go back and play 13 now, it makes total sense. But at the time, I'm like, oh my god, this game is so, like, all the, like, the Lassie and the Falsi and Cocoon and Grand Pulse and is, like, so much going on, right? So
I did find it funny, though, was it in Final Fantasy 15's demo, the voice actors in it, I'm like, isn't that fucking Titus and fucking what's his name? Oron or whatever. Like, oh shit, it's just the whole crew's back
the
again.
game's all about, yeah. They tend to use the
and
same
that guy,
group.
like, it's like, dude, you do not look like a guy that would have a British accent, but okay, that's where they went with that.
Yeah. So first Type 0, I admittedly did not get very far in Type 0. I only really played through the first mission and a half or something like that. But I definitely noticed the violence thing. I was like, wow, this game really is like super violent compared to the other Final Fantasy games. And I was a bit taken aback by that. But I understand it's a side story. It's a different thing. So I'm like, okay, it's cool. Even if I didn't totally understand the story, I thought I was interested enough to not want to skip the cutscenes, and I was, the characters are always very interesting to me. So I was watching that. The gameplay, it really is hard for me to get used to. And what's really bugging me is the whole, like, okay, so when I kill a mob, I have to, like, instantly flick the controller, hit the button, and then hit the other button to draw the treasure out from the mob. Or it's
MP,
whatever it's called. Yeah, like the MP, and then there's also, you get some type of, like, they come in the different colors, and I forget the name. Somebody in Chow probably yelled out. Sorry, guys. I did not spend enough time with it this week. I really shouldn't even be talking about it, but I have a big mouth. I just thought that was really hard to control, and sometimes you can't really lock on things the right way. And then when you turn, my God, it's like so fast. So you can really tell in those ways, like, this was definitely a game made for handhelds that I'm now playing on the TV. So it does give me pause now. I know I talk about games like Bravely Default, and I've said, like, why can't they just make a version of Bravely Default that I can play on the TV? I mean, they don't really use 3D in Bravely Default. I would like to just sit my big butt on the couch and play Bravely Default. Well, Type 0 shows that maybe not every mobile on the go portable game needs to necessarily be on the TV without some tweaking. But it's not like so bad it's unplayable or anything like that. It's just, I definitely noticed it. So the controls were a little bit wonky. It's taking me some getting used to. But I'm interested enough in the game itself and the story to keep going with it. But like many of you and like Loki, I took a side trip to go check out the Final Fantasy 15 demo. Unlike Loki, and again, I think Loki is totally off on that comment. I think the game is gorgeous, and that's one of the strongest things it has going for it is just it looks amazing, and the fact that it transitions from battle to world map and all this seamlessly is really, really cool. Certainly 15 address the problem that most people had with 13, not counting 14 because the MMOs are kind of their own different thing, right? In the fact that 15, the first thing you notice is, wow, this is open world. This is an open world Final Fantasy game. This is like being in the hinterlands in Dragon Age Inquisition, but it's a fucking Final Fantasy game. Like, that's what I kind of noticed, like, right off the bat. So I thought that was neat, kind of a different direction for the series, especially since I do play the Final Fantasy MMOs, which do feel like that, just because MMOs in nature kind of tend to do that in our open world. So I kind of like that. And I was interested enough with the story and where it was going. In the demo, you're trying to track down this behemoth because you want to get the reward so you can get, pay Sydney to get your car fixed, basically, is the whole gist of the demo. And you find all these side things while you're going through the world. But the thing that really bothered me about the demo, is the controls, again. I was never locking on the thing I wanted to be locking on. The camera always ended up in this real awkward place where, like, the mob I'm fighting is behind a big bush, and so all I see is just giant bush filling up my television screen.
It's like a 70s porno.
Pretty much. So it's like, yeah, it's hard to, like, see what I'm doing and so forth. So, and that's very jarring to not have that turn-based system anymore. Like, and even when they went away from that and things like Final Fantasy 13, it still felt very Final Fantasy. So, like, this is a huge departure from that, and that was a little weird for me to get used to. And I'm okay with it, but the camera, the controls, and the frame rate all need a little tweaking. This is a demo, however, and I think we all need to keep that in mind. Very important. I'm not going to base my final decision of the game off this demo, but it certainly shows me it needs a little more time before it's finished. And whereas I was thinking for a while, like, oh, I can't wait to play Final Fantasy 15 this holiday. This is going to be the big holiday game. I'm going to play nothing but Final Fantasy 15 over Christmas. Now I'm thinking maybe they ought to wait till next year. Maybe it needs to be in the oven a little longer, and we'll see it next year, and I'm totally okay with that after playing this demo. Like, if they can go back and tweak some of these things and get it a little tighter based off some of this feedback, I'm sure they're going to hear from other places in the demo. I'm okay with it taking a little longer. So that's it, though. That was my gaming week, so very similar to what Loki did. All right. Let's see. Going to our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Dungeon Buster says, I kept getting hit by enemies off camera. So annoying. There's no way to scale the camera back that I could find either. Act Def says, Final Fantasy 15 is like a 70s porno, so we finally got Final Fantasy XXX? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. All right. Anyhow, housekeeping real quick. Of course, follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/OLR. We're also on Facebook and Google Plus as Orange Lounge Radio. As we announced last week on the show, and I'll be announcing every week until it gets here, which is only in a few weeks, we will be broadcasting live on April 11th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time from the Sacramento IGDA event, the Sacramento arcade event that is happening at Cafe Colonial and the Colony, which is down off Stockton, or is it 35th? I cannot remember my directions very well, but if you live here in Sac, you know where the Colonial is. Google it, people. Google it. We're going to be broadcasting there all day, and hoping to bring you some of the speakers that will be there. They've got some great speakers, and doing some coverage of some indie games you probably have not heard about yet, but you will soon. So we definitely want to spotlight these hardworking, deserving folks. Also, next week here on OLR, we're actually going to have Gabriel and Brianna from that group are going to be here next week live on the show to talk about that event, talk about what we can look forward to. And I also know Gabriel's company just pushed a demo onto Desura today, and this is a game he's going to be putting on Wii U eventually as well. It's a game called Crumple.
Crumple, yep.
Yep. So we're going to talk more about that next week when he's here. So that's very exciting for him. So
Cool.
All right. I think the time has come for us to get into some news for the week. So, Loki?
Actually, may I say one thing that I had intended to before?
Sure, of course.
I wanted to thank everyone for their well wishes about my grandmother. She would have been like, who are all these people? But she would have appreciated it too. So I'd like to thank everyone, and thanks for putting up with me.
I wasn't going to ask, but I also noticed a lot of that out there, and even though like it certainly doesn't impact me the same way it impacts you, I was just like really happy and warm to see that outpouring for you, and I was like, she deserves it. So I was very happy to see that.
Well, my grandma practically raised me, so it's like losing, closer than a grandmother, pretty much. So
sure,
I have one grandmother left, my granny, and she's stubborn. But it was a pretty crazy ride the last week and a half. So
sure. Well,
but thanks to everybody.
We're all here for you, Dark Sakura. You know that. It's one big family here at OLR.
Just don't all be in my house at the same time.
What's that?
Just don't all be in my house at the same time.
But we used to be all at your house on Sunday nights for the show.
I know. And
Mystique was here last week. You missed it, and I was like, I don't think you've crashed the show since we did it at Jamie's.
Yeah. And also, Midna thanks you for cleaning up after her.
Well, she's welcome. Meow meow.
Yeah.
All right. Anyhow, okay. Thank you for sharing. Let's get into some gaming news, Loki.
Yeah, so there's some big announcements regarding Nintendo, and it's kind of like everybody's been bugging them about, hey, when are you going to do mobile games? Hey, when are you going to do mobile games? Well, finally they're going to do mobile games. So they have a collaboration with DNA, and basically it's going to put up mobile games. They're going to actually create the products themselves, whereas DNA is going to take care of the service side, apparently. And Satoru Iwata said, we have come to the stage where we can say that we will be able to develop and operate software, which in the end will not hurt the value of the Nintendo IP, but rather will become an opportunity for a great number of people around the world who own smart devices but do not have interest in dedicated video game hardware to be interested in Nintendo IP and eventually become fans of our dedicated game systems. Along with that announcement that they're going to, have these mobile games, they announced that there's going to be, tease that there's going to be a new system game system that they're going to be creating that ties in this somehow. They haven't really said anything about it other than, it's called they're calling it right now the NX. And basically that it's going to be something that they'll be talking about next year. But I don't know. Not sure what that is. A lot of people are definitely, is it a tablet? Is it a new game system? Is it like a phone?
Is it all of them?
Is it all those things? I think it's a new handheld system, but, whatever. We'll see.
So there's a lot to digest with this story, I think. So first off, Nintendo's getting into mobile, which I have to admit, I'm surprised a little bit. I thought they would stick with that stubbornness for a little while. I suspected the 3DS was doing pretty well. Every time a new Pokemon game comes out, people lose their shit. So it seems very weird that by going into mobile, they would almost take away from the DS a little bit. And I understand, before you all jump down my throat, I understand that there's different experiences. There's certain types of games that will work well on mobile and certain types of things that will work well on 3DS. You will not have something with the depth of Mario 3D Land, which is an amazing game. You can't get that on a mobile device. It's just not going to happen. But something like Pokemon Shuffle, I guess you could, and I'm sure is the example many people think of as, this is probably what a Nintendo mobile game is going to look like. So it's just interesting to me that they finally bowed to that. And I realize investor pressure has a lot to do with these types of things, especially when you're not making your projections. And even though I don't think the Wii U is losing money anymore, Nintendo has failed to meet those investor projections several times now. And they're on an upswing, and I think that's worth noting. This Amiibo thing's putting them on an upswing and so forth, but they probably have a lot of investor pressure to upswing it more to make up for some of these past few years. And basically, why? Why not get into mobile? And maybe finally that just became a question that was too much to bear. Why not get into mobile? Microsoft and Sony have even kind of done it in their own ways. Granted, the Sony mobile platform, I believe we just talked about last week, didn't turn out so well. But we have like a Little Big Planet Endless Runner game. Granted, I guess Media Molecule, that might complicate the relationship a little bit when it's not really Sony. But anyway, but Microsoft it's kind of a whole nother issue when you consider that Windows is a phone and it's a little bit apples to oranges. But regardless, it's interesting to see that Nintendo is now having to bow to coming to mobile phones. There's some things I think would work very well on my iPhone, or if I were an Android user on that device or tablet or what have you. I think of things like Advance Wars. I think that's a Nintendo IP a lot of people may have forgot about, but I think that would work very well on a tablet, and I would think that would be the first thing to make. I think kind of like you see a lot of Disney characters in their own versions of popular games on the marketplace. I don't want to say like Disney Temple Run, but I believe they did a Temple Run game with the characters from Brave, did they not? I think that was one of the things.
Yeah.
So perhaps you will see something like that with Mario. Not saying exactly Temple Run, but existing types of ideas that you have, but with Mario, Luigi, because that is Nintendo's real bread and butter, and something that they can really give the world beyond gaming is strong characters. I mean, I use the Disney comparison because Disney, does this extremely well. They create strong characters. I mean, think about how old of a character Snow White, Princess Aurora, and these characters are.
Aurora.
I can never say that word.
Aurora.
Think about how old some of these characters are, and they are still selling on clothes and cups and doll and things like that today. You know what I mean? Very strong characters. Just like Mario is going to be around forever,
I just find it interesting that the whole reason they announced that NX thing is because they want people to be aware that they're still not going to give up on the console side of things. But you would think that they would just say, but we're going to keep up with the 3DS and Wii U, not, hey, we're going to have another console coming out. It's like...
Well,
It's like, did you just release a console already? I mean, you know...
All the big blogs, all the profit sites, all the gaming journalism for profit sites just saw a big bing in their eye when Nintendo said that, because now they can run that headline. Nintendo announces they're working on their new console, the NX. Here's the thing. No shit. That is not news. Guess what? Sony working on the PlayStation 5 right now, or whatever the successor is to the PlayStation 4. Guarantee it. Microsoft working on Xbox's successor. Guarantee it. Why? Listen to them talk about the systems that are out now. Development for these systems start right after the old systems get released. It's not like they let these hardware teams go for, years and years and then bring them back the year before. These things take an insane amount of planning, and they go through many changes. And I'm sure there's so many things they think they might want to implement, and then they
why
don't.
Announce it now? I mean, it's way too early to be announcing that, especially when they're like, yay, we've got something coming, and you'll hear about it next year.
I think it was more of a reassurance to investors. And I think you kind of said it. It was to reassure everybody, we're going to enter the mobile space, but we're not moving to mobile. We're still developing these other experiences, and you're going to hear about one next year, which is, any of us that kind of watch the industry. And so that's kind of when I think we expected Nintendo to say something. I'm just going to be
curious to see if these are any experiences I actually want to experience, because it's like, no offense, but mobile games a lot of times have come with the connotation of like, it's kind of a cheap cash in, so I kind of want to see something that's a little bit more than just a cheap cash in, see how they're actually utilizing, because once again they take things Nintendo's pace, I guess, and they're a little behind in everything, and so I'm kind of wondering what stuff we'll see them kind of repeat the mistakes of other companies.
Going to some comments over in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. SSG100 Matt says it was a reassurance to the investors, not for the gamers per se. I mean, it is a true point. They said it in an investor meeting, not at E3. So that message was for investors, and just everybody else ran with it. Tiger Claw says, I just hope Nintendo doesn't jump on the bandwagon that is those tower defense games. There's so many of them. Excuse me. Dark Tetsuya says, exactly. Soon as the current systems start to ship, they're likely right back on the drawing board for whatever's next. Rama says, put a couple of the minor characters in mobile games. Oh, that's a good thought. Maybe some characters that deserve a little more love, that we don't seem to ever get their games on console, like Tingle could have his own game on mobile, or Birdo, or I don't know, kind of like the B-list Nintendo characters. Why not?
Tingle's Match 3 Jewel game. Yeah, I could see that.
Tingle's Rupee Extravaganza or something. Who knows? That'd be great.
Be lame.
You'd play it once, Loki.
I wouldn't play it at all. My phone wouldn't run it.
Say that now. You say that.
I do say that now because my phone wouldn't run it.
You're not going to get a new phone before then?
Probably not.
All right. Dark Soccer, I know you're not a Wii U owner, so I know you don't really have your finger on the pulse of everything happening with Nintendo, but how do you kind of take to this news? Is this something you're interested in seeing Nintendo explore? Is that tablet universe, or do you wish they would just kind of stick with consoles?
It depends on what they put out, honestly. Mm-hmm. With knowing so little about what's coming out, I mean, if they did Dr. Mario on iOS, I'd totally be down for it.
Yoshi's Cookie would be a great, some of the puzzlers would be great.
I'm not as much of a fan of Yoshi's Cookie.
I love Yoshi's Cookie, and that would be a great one with touch controls.
Dr. Mario.
That's fair.
I was really freaking good at it too. Uh-huh. But I mean, I would love to have some, just some of the classic games on there. But you have to be really careful with how they do it, because some games do not translate to touchscreen at
Super
all.
Mario Brothers, not going to work on a touchscreen. Zelda, not going to work on a touchscreen. But
no, not necessarily. The first Zelda game could work on touchscreen.
It would work on a touchscreen.
The first one.
No, it would work on touchscreen because they've had touchscreen-based Zelda games for the DS, and it works just fine with the touchscreen.
I just don't think that the second one would, because it's more of a platformer aspect.
But I like the idea of them being just separate. This is another Hyrule adventure. That Phantom Hourglass was kind of like a side story, right? So as long as they're side stories. But then when we talk side stories in Zelda, somebody's got to say CDI. Don't go down that road again. Let's hope that is not what ends up happening, because that would be very sad. Some folks in chat saying, Orama agrees, Yoshi's cookie. Tiger Claw saying Yoshi's cookie clicker. Now you're talking.
That's more
Cookie
of a Wario
clicker.
game. I can see that.
Brad from Pod Culture. I can't believe none of us said that. Animal Crossing mobile game. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Animal Crossing in the style of Smurf Village. Oh, you're going to love it.
Dark Soccer
Just
just gasped.
But I want Animal Crossing all the things
right.
now.
Hey, you want that really cool wallpaper for your house?
Look at all these Nintendo employees that just joined our chat. Shout out all the Nintendo mobile games they want. All right, let's move on. Speaking of Nintendo, this is just one of those stories where I look at this and I go, Nintendo, maybe you're just cutting too many corners. I don't know. As much as I stick up for Nintendo on this show, and there's a lot of things they do that I love, this is one of those things where I go, really, guys? Nintendo has announced that Xenoblade Chronicles 3D is going to be an 8 GB download, which means it will not fit on the 4 GB micro SD card that comes with your new 3DS or your new 3DS XL. So if you want to digitally download Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, you're going to have to get a new memory card. So you can just pick that up when you pick up your charger, which the system did not come with. Now, in all fairness, because I know the Nintendo fanboys will yell at me if I don't mention it, certainly a lot of folks out there already have a charger and probably already have a bigger card that they used on their last system. But it does seem a little strange that they couldn't have just put out a slightly bigger card for it to... I mean, you can always just go buy the damn cartridge. You don't have to digitally download the game, but it just seems so weird to me that they couldn't think 6 months ahead that the very first game we're going to put out that requires the new 3DS, people aren't going to be able to digitally download because the card's too small. Like, and is memory that expensive? I didn't think it was.
No, it's absolutely not expensive.
So it's just one of those, like, too many corners been cutting. Too many. Anyhow. Some other comments on the game that the port mentions. They mention when making the port, the specs of the Wii are actually higher than the new Nintendo 3DS. So they're saying on top of this, implementing the 3D effect, which requires double the image processing, made it even harder. This is all coming from the game's coordinator, Hiro Yamada. However, we used a lot of tricks technically as well as in our working methods. We achieved the 3D effect while retaining an almost equal graphical quality except for the resolution. Without the higher performance of the CPU on the new 3DS compared to Nintendo 3DS, we simply wouldn't have been able to port the game. The new Nintendo 3DS also comes with the C-Stick and the ZL and ZR, which was really helpful as we could just use the Wii Classic controller control scheme without any changes. Porting the game itself was difficult. Importing the game, we had to use a lot of technical tricks to get to show both seamlessly without performance drops. Dealing with the 3D effect was a difficult challenge, but something we deemed necessary to provide players with a sense of immersions with these huge landscapes. So there you go. I still am not going to buy myself a new 3DS just for this game, but I feel like this is one of those games that I'll kind of pick up when it goes on sale after some other game is announced at E3 that I'm going to have to buy a new Nintendo 3DS for. And hopefully some different colors will be announced at E3 as well. That's my hope.
I want a green one.
Yeah, right? In our chat room, Dungeon Buster says, Scandis and Kingston thank Nintendo for their business. Right? Dark Sakura, what do you have for us?
Well, there's a rumor going around that basically Hideo Kojima is pretty much not going to work on Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain anymore. But he and Konami both issued a joint statement that said the game is still going to come out. He's still 100% involved, and he's determined to make it, quote, the greatest game I've ever directed to date. Don't miss it, end quote. So it should be released on Tuesday, September 1st, 2015, which is my wedding anniversary. 10 years, can you believe it? Thank you, Kojima, for my present.
How appropriate that a Metal Gear game is coming out on your anniversary.
Metal Gear. And he's saying that this is going to be his last one again. But he's still working on other things for Konami. is just not saying what exactly PT.
Silent Hills, yeah.
Yes.
That better be one of them, because
God, I know.
that's where my head went when I heard all this. I was like, the hell with Metal Gear. I could care less about Metal Gear. Sorry, Metal Gear fans. What the hell's going to happen to Silent Hills? I need to know this.
Well, we don't have anything about that within this article, but as far as we know, it's still on track, and so is Metal Gear Solid 5.
There were other players with Silent Hills as well. I mean, Guillermo del Toro is obviously a huge part of that.
Yeah.
But I worry. I just hope that game didn't get derailed by this. But maybe
Happy thoughts.
Yeah, maybe Silent Hills is on track for a Halloween release this year. I mean,
That would be great.
we did get the demo, so I mean, it is feasible that Kojima could probably wrap up both games around the same time. I mean, PT. How long ago did PT come out? It was a while ago. It was
I
last
don't
year,
know.
right? Because
I'm just incredibly amused that I beat it the first time around.
you're right. But anyway,
I wanted to smack that ugly baby in the thing.
the other weird thing about all this news coming out is why now? Isn't this usually the type of news you wait and then the game comes out and then you say, oh, Kojima's leaving Konami after, he's finally making good on his promise that he'll
I
never
think
work on
it's
Metal Gear
more
again.
of someone noticed that his name had been taken off of like some of the Konami pages.
But still, why did they make it obvious now? Did they? I guess they had to. I don't know.
I don't
Legally,
know.
it's weird. So the game has got to be so far along at this point that I don't think the Metal Gear game you're gonna get is going to be the same Kojima levels as all your it's too far along at this point.
You're going to get what you get, and you're going to like it.
exactly. But I worry
You
about some
eat
of
your
the other
peas.
projects.
You eat your Phantom Pain. No dessert if you don't. No PT if you don't do Phantom Pain.
And
no dessert.
Without Kojima, what does Konami have left? Soccer? I'd like to know a little bit more from Konami. What does your 5-year plan look like? What games will you be releasing?
Poppin' music and pachinko machines.
We can't forget Konami does have a huge business that is not just games for the PlayStation, the Xbox, and the Wii.
Yep.
There's a huge physical gambling device, division, and maybe that's where they're at.
I wish that they would, though, bring back the Super Konami World franchise and have all those game mashups, because that's kind of a popular genre right now.
I feel like things like that don't start happening until somebody buys Konami Digital Entertainment. I feel like if a lot of these dominoes keep falling, at some point Konami will sell off just that digital arm. They're going to keep all that other casino business and all that stuff. That'll still be like Konami, but they'll sell off that branch to somebody else. But
You know what they
knows?
need to do? What would I think be their salvation? Is continue the Symphony of the Night series. We have Rondo of Blood. We do Symphony of the Night. We do something continuing on with Alucard and Richter.
Yeah, but
Everyone would play it, and that would happen.
The guy, Castlevania guy's long gone from Konami. He left.
So
I worry.
there are people who love it. I mean, I do pay attention to developers, but not many other people do. So all they're going to see is, this is the third in the series for Rondo of Blood, blah, 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 blah. Castlevania, wee. It's called Castlewank. Castlewankia.
Castlevania coming to a PlayStation near you.
Yeah.
Moving on, Loki.
So this is kind of lame, but apparently there's been some bullying being done by Atari. Atari, of all people, or companies, I should say, although we are treating corporations like people nowadays. Seriously, what have they done lately, aside from some really terrible mobile games and proposed really terrible reboots of different franchises? But now they are bullying developers, and Jeff Minter, who also did the remake of Tempest 2000, has a new game that he was working on called TXK, and it was supposed to be coming out on the PlayStation Vita, and then later on PlayStation 4, PC, and Android, and also VR. Apparently, he got a cease and desist from Atari because his game was infringing on Atari's intellectual property, basically saying that it's a blatant copy of the Tempest games. And it was supposed to be kind of like a spiritual successor to Tempest. But, they were just, basically saying that, he has to remove this from the market and any copies have to be destroyed, deleted, and then the source code has to be delivered to Atari. And he's just kind of, it's like, what the hell? Because this game is not Tempest, but, they're just, at this point, you can't really, I don't know if you'd really be able to say that you can kind of copy like styles and stuff. You can't really copyright gameplay, so I don't know how they can really get across saying that it's,
they do look really similar, though. I mean, look, I understand why people are upset with Atari because this is the game that people want to play. Atari is not making that game. Somebody else made that game. Why can't I have that game? Gamer entitlement, right? This is why people are upset. But at the same time, people, come on. The game is a lot like Tempest, which, and I'm not saying that doesn't make it bad. That absolutely doesn't make it bad. It actually makes it quite good. But I kind of think, okay, Atari has a right to say, please don't copy this game, even if we all think Atari should be saying, we would like to buy your game and publish it under Atari, and we would like to partner with you. That's, I think, the resolution a lot of us would like to see, and maybe this weird legal bullying, if they're going to have to turn over the source code, maybe in some sick way Atari will end up putting the game out anyway, which is kind of weird. But, I mean, there is a part of me that does kind of go, okay, but is Atari really like this awful, evil, bad guy villain? Because the games are kind of similar, people. I mean, are we really gonna turn a blind eye to that? I have to ask that difficult question. Are we really gonna say, oh no, these two games completely different?
I don't know. It's like, how far do you drill it down to like saying that it's a copy or a clone of something? I mean, how far do you say, like, it, kind of goes down to like, the Street Fighter type clones and stuff. You
know what I'm really reminded of is, and we spent forever talking about this on the show when In the Groove came out, and it was very, very similar to DDR, right? And there was definitely two schools of thought with that. There was one school of thought where people, it's DDR, and Konami isn't giving us new DDR, so somebody's giving us new DDR, so I want to fucking play new DDR, even if it's got a new name, right? And then, there was other people that really enjoyed the fact that In the Groove probably lent itself a little more to the Perfect Attack game as opposed to the freestyle game. It kind of pushed the Perfect Attack game to the next level. And then it had like the poison arrows was the thing, right? And then Konami ended up even actually adapting that into their games later after all that lawsuit and everything. But those two, despite wherever you felt about those two games, we kind of saw what happened there, where those two games were awfully similar. But I can also see the point of, where do you draw the line of, but a dancing game anybody should be able to make?
I just think, unless gameplay is exactly the same, which I did kind of read the arguments a little bit, and they did point out a lot of similarities between the two. And I got to say, definitely the main ship looks awfully similar, and the game field looks pretty similar. But I don't know how similar it's got to be before you can actually file a lawsuit against it. You know what I mean? Especially on a game like Tempest that looks really simple. It's like, I don't know, has vector graphics, and it's on like, kind of like a hallway type thing that you're shooting ships that are coming up. I don't really know where to draw the line there, I guess. But that's not for me to care, because that's for a lawyer in the court to decide, I guess.
All right. Obviously, our chat room is lighting up on this, and I do want to make sure we get some other comments out on this over at live.vognetwork.com. Dungeon Buster saying, Atari's bound to the system that their lawyers are obligated to use to protect the IP of their clients, regardless of the fallout. Nascent Games, I hope I said that right, says, Atari is another Konami. They are doing nothing constructive other than telling others what they can't do. YYR over at live.vognetwork.com says, the debate isn't whether the games are similar to each other. The debate is whether TXK is legal. Truthfully, TXK contains 0% of Tempest 2000's code, audio, or visuals. And YYR says Capcom versus Data East. That is all I have to say. Dungeon Buster saying Magnavox did the same thing in the 80s against other companies to develop consoles. Even Nintendo had to settle.
I just wish Atari had something good coming out, but they don't. And like anything that they talk about, like, was it the reboot of Asteroids that they're doing? It's like, what the hell is that?
And Atari even did a Tempest game on the 360 at least. I think was the last time I remember one. And it was okay just because Tempest is such a solid game, but it wasn't Tempest 2000. You know what I mean? And like Tempest 2000 was the reason to own an Atari Jaguar. Like that was the like must-have game on the Jaguar, right? So there's a lot of people that want to re-experience that. So I mean, again, I'm not like against this game per se. I would love to see that resolution where can't we all just get along type of thing where, you know, maybe Atari sees this
they
and
just
sees that people want it. Yeah, but you're right. And it's lawyers that screw all that up on that side. It's tough. I kind of agree with the comment that, like, unfortunately, as much of dirtbags as it might make Atari look like, I believe the way the law is, you have to try to enforce your intellectual property or you're going to lose it.
You do. But, like, it's not, I think that's necessarily for, like, trademarks and stuff. Because I could see that they have to protect their trademarks. So like if a game comes, like if he put out a game called Tempest or something like, or Tempest Quest or I don't know, Tempest Saga, then they would need to protect their copy or their trademark, or they will lose that trademark. But we're not talking about a trademark here. I mean, it's not called Tempest, so. At this point, I guess they're trying to say it's a, infringement on their copyright. Well, they're saying trademark as well, but I don't see it. So now they're saying it's a copyright. Well, that should be easy to prove because it didn't use any assets from Tempest. So I don't know. I mean, come on. If we can live in a world that fucking Mighty Number 9 can come out and not be Mega Man, then this should not be Tempest. It's easy as that. Because Mighty Number 9 is so fucking Mega Man, it's not even funny.
And it's interesting because the Capcom versus Data East thing is getting brought up a lot. So I want to just kind of remind people what happened with that. I went to the good old wiki to refresh my memory.
Were they not bad enough dudes for Konami?
So here's the deal. So Capcom USA sued Data East over Fighter's history, which if you've never played the game, is pretty much Street Fighter 2 for the Super Nintendo, but Karnov was. I remember Karnov was a character, and so they had some like different characters, but it played a lot like Street Fighter 2, right? So Capcom felt this was an infringement on Street Fighter 2, and then they also went after Data East in Japan. Now, Data East said that they started it with Karate Champ in 1984, and that was the originator of the fighting game genre, and that predated the original Street Fighter 3 years. So a trial date was set in 1994, noting some of the similarities and so forth. However, ultimately, Capcom lost the case, stating that the copied elements were scenes affair and thus excluded from copyright. And what that means is that it's a scene that is almost obligatory for a genre of its type. As an example, a spy novel will have Swiss bank accounts, a femme fatale, gadgets in devices. There's certain things you expect will happen in these types. So very, very interesting how that all played out.
Cool.
Loki, you want to say something smart ass? Please open your mouth, please.
So like a Peter Molyneux game, you expect to be let down by high expectations. Does that fall under that?
Jamie, do you have something more constructive?
That
to bring
just
to the
makes me want to write a spy novel that doesn't include the gadgets, has a homme fatale, and uses a mattress with money in it.
So you're gonna
don't steal my idea. I'm gonna do Redneck Bond.
You're gonna Swiss be like bank accounts, like a giant block of Swiss cheese that they hide money.
My spy novel's gonna be Jimmy Bond.
You know what? All I use
Bubba Bond.
All I use my Swiss bank account for is to buy ABBA albums. That is all you need a Swiss bank account for. I'm just saying.
No, you just have people who buy you ABBA albums.
Hey, I bought that one.
I bought you
in
Super
Seattle.
Trooper
I know you did. All right.
like 3 years ago.
Anyhow, MXC in chat asking, where was Atari when TXK launched a year ago on the Vita? Well, you know how fast the lawyers work, right? Anyway.
They run off a computer system still based off the 2600.
I think we're going to be hearing a lot more on this. I think we're going to get some phone calls on it later and probably some emails. But you know what? I welcome all the perspectives. At the end of the day, again, I just want to reiterate, like, even though I'm bringing up a counterpoint I think people don't want to hear, I really wish these guys could just hug it out somehow. You know, we want to play the game. Let us play the game.
I mean, I understand that lawyers have their job, and that's fine. But at the same time, that they are supposed to be, doing, making sure they're enforcing their trademarks. They could also come to like an agreement that like, okay, we find that this is not infringing on our trademark, so it's okay. Like that's why I got to figure, with some of these companies that have names or whatever their trademark names, like remember Elder Scrolls and Scrolls and stuff like that. Like I don't think that they necessarily wanted to sue them or thought that they were infringing on the trademark, but they had to do it in order to keep their trademark. So I just, once again, it comes back to needing to, fix our trademark and copyright laws.
All right. Let's move on to a story about something happening in PlayStation's world. This doesn't directly relate to games, but as you know, in this day and age, unlike when this show started almost 13 years ago, the game devices that are in your living room are now entertainment devices.
What are you talking about? They've always used to be able to play CDs.
That's true. You could always drop those fat tunes from such popular 90s artists on your PlayStation. But anyway, the PlayStation 4, Sony's going to be pushing, of course, more home entertainment things in the PlayStation. And Sony has created View, which is a television streaming service. This is officially launching this past week in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. Those are some pretty big markets.
It's pronounced Chicago.
Da Bears. View will be offering a mixture of live and on-demand content from cable networks, such as offerings from Discovery, who happens to own Animal Planet, TLC, which, damn, I love me some TLC. Some trash learning channel. That is some trash learning. And most importantly, the Oprah Winfrey Network, and I wouldn't dare say anything negative about Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, she'll send a hit squad against you.
That's right. NBC Universal, who makes the all-important Bravo Network and the Real Housewives of Sony County. And also will be broadcasting television from NBC, CBS, and Fox. Interesting, ABC's absent from that. Did you notice that? Anyhow, PS View will also have a virtually unlimited digital video recording device. And so, of course, a lot of comments being made on this week. I love this, though, from Eric Lempel, who is part of he's actually the head of Sony's Networks Entertainment Division, saying, the point of View is to, quote, take the burden out of watching television. Really? You guys.
Oh, my God. I have to keep my eyes open.
Hard. Where did I put the remote? This is so difficult. I just want to watch Drag Race and go to bed. Come on. Do you
Not going to say it.
What? Come on, Darsaga.
America, this is why you're fat.
PlayStation, TV. No, good TV. Better TV.
Anyhow.
Is this free?
The reason behind it is, of course, it's not free. The reason behind it is that it's streamlining the interactive elements that consumers find frustrating. DVR management, channel guides have been reconsidered. It's not a book you have to read. Remember, back in my day, kids, the TV guide was something you bought at the supermarket, and it was something you had to open it and you had to read.
Well, this is funny, actually.
Or you had to wait until Friday to get the one out of the newspaper.
You got a crossword puzzle every damn week.
Well, this is funny. Like that, my son was actually, he had to go to the bathroom the other day when we were over at his grandma's house, and he's all, if I go, will the show remember where I was at? I'm like, no, this is TV, not Netflix. Sorry, because he's so used to watching Netflix at home, and let me just pause it.
All right. Anyhow, also now some of this is interesting. So View can also store a backlog of every episode currently airing, available on catch up or on demand. So, for example, if you want to watch every episode of The Simpsons, you will have access to all the episodes according to what networks are airing them.
Thank you, non-Hulu device. Yes, Hulu, when you want to catch up on the last 2 episodes of a series or something like that.
Anyhow,
on select series.
Some thoughts about how's this going to work. Surely Comcast has some issues with this.
Oh, God. They have issues with everything.
But now with net neutrality, there may not be a lot they can do about it. I don't know what's
going to happen. They can piss and moan all they want.
Subscriptions.
Well, they'll just make cable more expensive. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. Your cable internet is just going to cost what internet and TV costs now. They're just going to find ways to keep kicking out. It'll be bandwidth caps and all this other stuff. And as long as there's no competition.
In other words, they're going to throw a tantrum.
Yeah, in a way.
Now, there should be competition, ideally. I mean,
we'll see. I don't know.
Have people move in.
That's a whole nother slippery slope, but we'll see.
Well, if they raise my rates up to what it costs to have TV, then, yeah, I won't be going with Comcast.
So there you go. I'm trying to see what the price is of this whole thing, but
free with PlayStation Plus.
Is it free with PlayStation Plus?
I don't know. I'm hoping.
Though PlayStation Plus, Sony's subscription service for gaming, doesn't have anything to do with View.
Damn it!
They say it could change in the future.
Woo. Maybe
Sony would tie the 2 services together and create a streamlined billing process, or maybe incentives for some type of tiered programming package. Also, hey, you could get the PlayStation Plus show Powers is on View, y'all. So you could check that out if you haven't watched that. Oh, here it is. Here's the price. 7-day trial period. And then after that, you can do one of 3 pricing tiers. You ready, Loki? For the Elite tier, $70. For the Core tier, $60. For the Access tier, $50. That's the lowest tier.
Is that per year?
$50. Monthly pricing
Fuck
tiers.
that. Nope. Sorry.
How much are you paying for Comcast, though? Isn't it pretty similar?
I'm not paying for Comcast TV. So that is $70 more than I'm going to pay. I'm sorry. Why would I do that when I can just get, Hulu and, Netflix for a lot cheaper? Sorry. No.
All right.
Not going to do it.
Let's see.
I can't do it.
Going to our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Okay, this comment about Oprah Winfrey was too funny for me to pass up. Akuma JP in our chat room says, and you get to hit OLR, and you get to hit OLR, and you get to... Okay, I thought that was funny. It was just me. All right, let's see. Tiger Claw says, my TiVo records a lot of shows. I never get around to watching them, except for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Of course, Tiger Claw, of course.
Yeah, I'm seriously...
Do they air the old ones that I remember from the 90s? Do they still air that one?
I am pissed off at the comics right now because they just killed off someone.
Really?
They didn't really kill him off because in the next preview episode, page of the
do a reboot.
first comic, he's not dead.
I hope not because
He's not. They're not going to do that. But
that was fucked up.
But seriously, though, why would I pay for? Why would I pay them $70 or even $50 when seriously it costs less to bundle that in with Comcast, who is not cheap by any means? Why would the fuck would I pay more to do that? It makes no goddamn sense.
Well, now Bobby Blackwolf giving an interesting thought on this. Comcast doesn't have an issue with this because NBC Universal is involved. That's a good point. Why would NBC be on board when Comcast now owns them?
Yeah, Sling. There you go.
Thought.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Sling, $19.99 a month. I can deal with that.
Oh, that comment from Nascent Games there in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Let's see, one other comment here from YYR. The one thing I'm most concerned about regarding internet-based TV versus more traditional TV, buffering. Net neutrality's importance increases. That's a good counterpoint, though, from Bobby, that, if NBC's involved, that means Comcast knows what's about to happen here.
I don't know. I've got to be honest. I haven't really run into issues with buffering. It's just, you will notice, when it's buffering a little bit, that it kind of looks a little... compressed, but usually it's not so bad. I don't know. I've never really run into problems.
All right, let's go from the future to the past, Dark Soccer, and a game that's near and dear to all of our hearts, I think, right, Jamie?
Well, kinda. Final Fantasy XI. How often did we play that?
Cure, please. Raise, please.
That's why I quit.
I would still be playing it now if it was free to play.
Raise, please. Teleport, please.
Or at least just drop the monthly fee to like $5. $5, or like even less than that.
Now it's not going to be at all, because on PS2 and Xbox 360, it is going to be shut down in March of next year. The PC version will continue on, but basically they're going to start doing these special content called Rhapsodies. It will be a grand conclusion to the Final Fantasy series' first MMORPG, Square Enix has stated. The Rhapsodies contents will be in 3 parts, with the first chunk of it coming out in May this year. Then there'll be another one in August and another one at the end of the year in November.
And a 4th one named the Bohemian Rhapsody.
I thought it would be the Behemoth Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody, there you go.
Okay. They are also doing a mobile version of Final Fantasy XI with Nexon Korea that will be out some point in 2016. So my thought is that they are shutting down the console versions to pave the way for server room or something, I guess.
Well, I think they're trying to switch everything off of Play Online to what the hell is it now? Like
Mog Station.
Mog Station,
is what they have
yeah.
for 14. Yeah,
I think that's what they're doing, and they can't do that with PS2 and 360.
So anyway,
and maybe they're going to give it a nice little graphical update, which would be kind of nice. And maybe they can't do that. Well, they can probably do it on 360, but they can't do that on PlayStation 2.
Well, and I think 360 in general, is on its way out in a way. Like, not to, it's all about the one now, right? So I was more surprised that they didn't announce some type of like updated client for PlayStation 4 or some of the other systems. But I don't know, like how long
they want everybody on 14 though.
I guess. How long do you? Well, why? If people are willing to pay for both, and I know people who've been willing to pay for both, I may have done it myself. Do they really need to?
I think that they should just do a version of it that's free to play. But I understand. The problem is that they don't know how to keep both around, both 14 and 11 around without, making changes to 11 that would, take away people from 14 is the problem, I think, is they don't know how to do that. If you make it free to play, you may lose some players from 14. If you, cut down the costs of it, you may lose that. I don't know how they're going to do it. I wish there was an offline version of the game. That would be pretty nice.
That's what I was hoping they'd announce, is that, we're just going to, we'll have maybe these servers for people that want to pay for it, but for people that just want to experience it, we have these trusts and ways that you can kind of play the game as a single player and experience it. I was hoping that's where they'd go with it, but no, we're going to make a mobile version of it because everybody wants a freaking mobile game. The investors want mobile. Mobile's where it's at. Mobile, people. Mobile. You get a mobile and you get a mobile.
I guess I can't knock it until it comes out, but I'm worried that the mobile version will be like $60 because it is a Square Enix, game, and so they have their.
I think there are legitimate reasons to be very concerned with Square Enix and mobile. Like, they have a tendency to release games and then just not support them. Like, and The World Ends With You, I think, is a good example, because I want to say The World Ends With You, and maybe somebody in chat, don't take me literally with this. I just remember reading something about it, and so maybe somebody in chat can help me out. But I want to say that The World Ends With You, like, stops working on iOS 8. And they're not going to patch it. They're not going to bother. They're done. After they charge like a premium for people to play that game. So I think there's a lot of legitimate reasons to be concerned about Square Enix in the mobile space. Like, if they can't demonstrate that they're going to support these types of games when they're charging a premium for them, I think we have the right to be cautious with our money. So just throwing that out there. Somebody in chat, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Over at live.vognetwork.com. Let's see. Tiger Claw in chat says, we got to stop calling it mobile. I suppose it's tablet, but I mean, a lot of, I don't know, touch devices.
Are tablets
portable devices?
Are tablets on a mobile device? I mean, can you not be mobile with them?
See, the thing is that even if I were to call it like a portable device, I still think there's a very clear distinction between a 3DS and a Vita, and then, a phone.
It's considered mobile for the most part. I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is.
All right. Let's move on with some more news. Actually, we'll do some release dates. We'll travel around the world and check out what's coming out a whole lot sooner than the Final Fantasy XI mobile version.
Right.
Loki, starting in the U.S.
Okay. So this week we've got Bloodborne coming out on PlayStation 4, so that should be pretty awesome, especially if you're a fan of like Dark Souls or something like that. So look for that. And then also Borderlands, the Handsome Collection on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I may have to pick that up because I didn't pick up the pre-sequel, and it does look pretty awesome, so I may have to do that. They're doing a physical release for Child of Light for the Vita. And then we have Lego Ninjago Shadows of Ronin for 3DS. Is that it? Let's see. Yep, that would be it for that week.
Sorry, I had to investigate that whole World Ends With You thing, and it looks like Square Enix did actually pull the game from iTunes, and they put out a support notice, and this all happened in February, saying that the service had been suspended and that they are, I guess, working to update the game, but at the current time it was no longer available for purchase from iTunes and couldn't even be re-downloaded. So I don't know if that ever actually got fixed. Maybe somebody in our chat knows or could search iTunes real quick for that. Anyhow, meanwhile, going over to Japan and checking out some of the releases over there. I'm not sure if there's like an awful lot this week over in Japan. They usually get their games on Fridays. Actually, I'm so wrong. There are quite a few things coming out in Japan this week on March 26th, including Bloodborne on the PlayStation 4, Kagero Mu Hitori no Princess in a regular and premium box, Makai Senkai Disgaea 5 comes out. That's kind of a huge deal over on the PlayStation 4. I know there's some Disgaea fans out there. Sengoku Hime 5, Senka Tatsu Hao no Kifu comes out this week, and One Piece Kaizuko Muso 3. Those are all releases on the PlayStation 4 this week, so a pretty busy week over there in Japan. The Xbox One, not getting any of those games this week. Actually, it's a lot quieter on the Xbox One this week. On the PlayStation 3 in Japan, One Piece Kaizuko Muso 3, Sengoku Hime 5, Senkatatsu Hao no Kifu, Pro Yaku Spirits 2015, that Mu Hitori no Princess game, and Sword Art Online Lost Song on the PlayStation 3 this week in Japan. On the Wii U, Susume Kinopio Taiko, an amiibo set, comes out this week. So this is Mario Party, and their version, or is this? No, this is a version of Captain Toad with a Toad amiibo that's coming out in Japan. That's what that is. It's not Mario Party, it's Captain Toad, but like an amiibo bundled set. That's pretty cool that they're getting that, because I don't think we have that here in the States. Also on the Japanese release schedule, looking at the handhelds real quick, on the PlayStation Vita, Kagero Mu Hitori no Princess is there as well. One Piece Kaizuko Muso 3, Pro Yaku Spirits 2015, Sword Art Online Lost Song, Justy Cross Nasty.
There's a Sword Art Online game.
Mao Haji Memashita comes out in regular and limited edition. Yes, the name of the game is Justy Cross Nasty.
Hajime Mashite.
Yeah, it's and I don't have screenshots from this game. I'm assuming these are the two characters. Let me look at the limited edition here real quick, see if there's screenshots. There's just these two characters who I'm assuming are Justy and Nasty. So maybe it's pronounced different in Japanese.
If I have
like
kids, they're gonna be. I'm gonna name my first one Nasty. I think that would be Is it Naste?
It's Nasty.
T-Y? Then that would be Nasty.
Yeah, because if it was Naste, I would have said Naste or something. I don't think it would be, yeah. All right, Justy Cross Nasty. And lastly, on the 3DS this week, Lego Ninja... Oh, sorry, that's a U.S. release. Kuroko no Basuke Mirai Ino Kizuna comes out this week. And I bet a lot of you will be importing Theatrhythm Dragon Quest comes out this week on the 3DS in Japan. Dark Sakura, how about the UK?
On the 24th, we have Grand Theft Auto 5 for PC. And on the 26th, Iron Cast for Mac and PC, Pillars of Eternity for Mac and PC, and The Trace for iPad and iOS. The iPhone, both iOS versions. On the 27th, we have Borderlands: The Handsome Collection for PS4, Xbox One, Oddworld New and Tasty on Xbox One, Ride on a bunch of stuff, and Tokiden Kyoku on PlayStation Vita and PS4.
All right. Just a couple more news stories for you guys, and then the classic game of the week.
Actually, I have one more because I forgot the 28th.
Sorry.
Yeah. Bloodborne.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And there's also one on the 31st, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention it as Neverwinter.
Wow.
So there we go. Lots of stuff in the UK.
Oh, the Neverwinter, the online one, right?
Yep.
All right. Just a couple more stories for you guys, and then the classic game of the week. Loki.
So this is disappointing. Unfortunately, there's been some layoffs at Evolution Studios, the company behind the wonderful MotorStorm franchise, and now the not-so-wonderful Drive Club. So yeah, they've been hit with a number of layoffs, they say. Mentioning, I guess, that the focus of the studio will be updating the games as a service while still trying to launch the PlayStation Plus version of Drive Club. So that kind of sucks.
Are we ever going to see that stinking Drive Club release at this point?
I kind of don't care at this point.
I know. I think a lot of us are kind of over it.
You know, I had really... It looked cool at the time, but I kind of don't want to purchase it at this point. By the time that shit comes out, it's going to be like fucking $20 or like, you know, it's going to be in bargain bin at that point.
Yeah. So maybe they shouldn't have made that promise. Do you think a lesson learned, Sony? I don't know.
Maybe they should just put it out for free as the whole game in PlayStation Plus and just wipe the slate clean of that.
Oh, you think maybe that's the direction things are going? That maybe they're just going to
Ride
it
that
off?
shit comes out, it'll be like a year or two before it.
That's certainly a thought that maybe they're just going to say, you know what, there's not going to be a separate PlayStation. It's just releasing it for free. Ooh, that would that might be quite the loss for Sony, though. Who knows? I guess at this point, though, because of all the online downtime and all that stuff, can it really get any worse? Then again, if you open it up to all the PlayStation Plus users at the same time, yes, it probably could get worse, actually. So I don't know.
Well, you're going to open it up to PlayStation Plus users anyways. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
All right. YYR is pointing out on the counterpoint, Xbox is getting a free version of Forza next week, not just for Gold members, but for everyone.
Exactly, and I want to download that because I like Forza.
That's the Fast and Furious one, right?
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm down with that. Seriously.
All right. Well, moving on. Bloodborne was a game that we talked all about in our releases for next week. What if I told you could buy Bloodborne with actual blood? Sorry, that is not the blood of your enemies, but maybe you're figuring out here. This is actually just happening in Denmark, so unless you happen to live there, which I do not know if we have any folks from Denmark listening to the show, but if we do, hello. And if you happen to be near the University of Copenhagen, you can donate blood for a chance of getting a free copy of Bloodborne. Sorry, it's not guaranteed.
That's lame.
Yeah, that would be...
donating blood's not lame, but that's lame. That
actually isn't the first time it's been done. There were blood drives in... I used to do some SEO work, some search engine optimization. And I remembered reading in my searches that there was a tournament, I believe in Australia, where they gave blood and then had a chance to preview a game that came out, like some... battle game or something, but it's not the first time something like this has been done.
Yeah. So what happens, you're going to give blood and you roll a die to see if you've won a copy of the game or another PlayStation 4 game. Everyone who gives blood, they get entered into a contest to win a Bloodborne-themed PlayStation 4 console. So there it is. Also very interesting about this, just on another note, because this isn't just about the fact that they're giving this away, but Give Blood, which is the organization that's putting this together in Denmark, they said that this blood drive is significant because male blood donors are rare in Denmark. So they're trying to do this to get more, presumably, young males and females. Let's not forget ladies play games too, but it's going to get both in there donating some blood. So there's also a reference here to when Canadians tried something on Kickstarter called Bloodsport, which was an Xbox 360 gamepad that also would collect blood when the gamepad rumbled or vibrated. That might be a bit much. So anyhow, there you go. So Bloodborne, if you're in Denmark, you might be able to win if you're lucky with the dice and giving blood, and maybe you didn't know that they need more male blood in Denmark. All right, let's take a time to visit a classic moment in gaming's past, back when machines weren't actually taking blood from you as you played video games on them. but maybe if you grip them a little too tight, they'd leave a bruise. It's the classic game of the week, where Dark Soccer's going to step into the gaming vault and find a game that she thinks, hey, this is worthy of your attention as a classic title of the week. And remember, just as a reminder this week, a classic game of the week must be a game that is 10 years old or more.
And this game hit 10 years old this month.
And this is going to be one of those games where you're like, I am old.
I think it's also the first one on the system that started on the system that I have done.
Well, then here it is, Dark Sakura. What is the classic game of the week?
Luminous. Yes, Luminous is 10 years old. It is a puzzle video game based on light patterns and sound that was created by Tetsuya Mizuguchi and Q Entertainment, which we have brought up earlier in the show. And it was a launch title for the PlayStation Portable. Came out in Japan on December 12th, 2004, and released in North America on March 23rd, 2005. It later had a European release on September 1st, 2005. It has sold over 500,000 units as of October 11th, 2005 in Japan, and in Europe 180,000 since it was released in September 2005. North America about 300,000, and that's just as of October that same year. It sold a lot, and it sold quickly. Basically, Gameloft said that they would be bringing both Meteos and Luminous to cell phones. So we have Luminous Mobile that came out on March 1st, 2006, which I played a decent amount of. It also had a PS2 port in Europe and in North America on Luminous Plus. And on the PC, it was released by... it was released on the Wild Games platform, and then on Steam in 2008. 2009, Luminous Touch was released for iOS, and it had 4 sequels: Luminous Live, Luminous 2, Luminous Supernova, and Luminous Electronic Symphony, and that was the most recent as of 2012. We've been 3 years without a Luminous game. Get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So with this game, one very strong memory I have is that was one of the years we did my birthday at Dave & Buster's, and I got to level 24 piss drunk. I was sitting at the end of the table with my cupcake in front of me, drinking a 25-ounce Guinness. I remember this. Playing Wendell's version of it, and got to level 24.
And
drunk.
Can I just point out, like, not only is this game 10 years old this month, this game is 10 in North America anyway. Yeah. It's actually older than, because in Japan it came out December 2014. It is 10 years old today in the U.S. Today is Luminous's birthday of being released in the U.S.
Hence my reason for picking it.
There you go.
So basically, it's a block drop. You know, we've seen stuff like this, like in Tetris. It's a 2x2 square, or as it's also said, an O-tetromino, made of 4 smaller block pieces that's dropped on the field, and it can be different colors if you've got levels or skins on your level or different skins. The blocks make up larger blocks, which will be of 1 or 2 different colors. You can rotate them, realign them. You've got different colors in them. But once you attach them to other blocks, they will start sharing themselves if you've got one that's going to match on one of those sides. And then it actually, as you join pieces, and then you merge more and more of them to a certain amount. So in other words, you have to be really fast with that. It will make a sound that's synchronized with the music that you're listening to. You also basically your timeline moves across, which is showing you where you are within the music and how the blocks are going. So you have to basically get as many of them falling during one timeline sweep. And so when the timeline ends, they will match up all the colors that are touching, and it will decrease to the bottom. Of course, when you hit the top of it, you end. You can also get a block with a jewel in the center, which will clear as part of the overall block, and anything that is horizontally or vertically adjacent to that matched block. And it will be cleared without a score. So you do have your different skins, and your different skins they have different music attached to them in some cases. And the music and these sound effects are really integral to the game. It's a lot like Rez in that respect. which was another Mizuguchi game. So each skin also changes the rate at which the timeline moves in time with the music, and it can make it faster or slower, make it harder to create different combos, or it can have you, when it slows down, it makes it a lot harder to fill those sweeps going across. You also have your challenge and your versus CPU mode. You can play your versus, and it's just really, really an awesome game. So you have like I said, you've got your 4 modes. You have challenge, time attack, puzzle versus, and versus CPU mode. And like I said, with the playing against another person, you actually do it wirelessly on your PSP. So it is, I mean, it's one of the best games that has ever been out on PSP. To me, it was the reason to have one. And of course, we got more and more, music and skins. I mean, we were all obsessed with Shinin' right when that song was in the first one. Luminous Live, by the way, was included on the Cubed compilation on Xbox 360 that included Res HD and Every Extend Extra Extreme. And it had the Advanced Challenge Pack, the Versus CPU Pack, the Puzzle Mission Pack, Rocket Holiday Pack, and both Genki Rocket skins, Heavenly Star and Breeze. So the only thing that wasn't included were the Booster Pack and the Tokyo Club Mix Pack, that you could buy them separately. So Luminous Supernova was on PlayStation Network, and it had all of the features of Luminous Live without the online multiplayer, and the sequencer for Luminous 2, and then it had a dig down mode. Luminous Electronic Symphony was announced in Gamescom 2011, and it was showcased at Tokyo Game Show 2011, and it's basically just another awesome Luminous game. So there you go, Luminous.
There it is, your classic game of the week. Happy 10th birthday, Luminous.
Yep.
Although I personally feel Luminous 2 was the superior game, obviously we wouldn't be there without Luminous 1. And like you said, some of these songs that were in Luminous 1 were unforgettable and didn't end up showing up for the sequel. And here we are all these years later, Dark Sakura, and that Madonna skin still hasn't come out for the 360 version of Luminous. That one E3 will be the only time I ever got to play that Madonna song in Luminous. I guess they were going to expand with all these different songs. It was going to be like Luminous was going to be like a jukebox, and what was the song? It was Madonna's "Sorry." That's what was the song. I don't wanna do. It was that song.
Then maybe "Sorry" was just the apology. Here, you can play this once.
Sorry, you'll never play this again.
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember that E3. I got to play Madonna in Luminous at one time, but it'll never happen again. All right.
Is that the same E3 that I discovered SingStar and started just singing Motorhead for fun?
I believe that would have been the Paris Hilton year, because
that was it. Then
it would have been the 2006 E3, I think, and that was the year the Wii was announced, right? So yeah,
I was there.
That was the Paris Hilton year.
That was when I was obsessed with singing Motorhead because I could.
You're calling that game system what? That
what?
Was that year.
The Paris Hilton year?
No, yeah, remember, because if that's the year they announced the Wii, it's like...
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because the Revolution was totally not a good name for your system. Let's go with the Wii.
Yeah, no, I remember that. All right, anyhow, we're going to take a break, guys. When we come back, there is plenty more Orange Lounge Radio to come. In fact, we're going to talk about things like the Fugo question of the week, some interesting Steam updates, some interesting Windows 10 updates, and... more importantly, your calls, your emails, you guys, when we come back with more of Orange Lounge Radio right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Orange Lounge Radio, live tonight with our 591st episode for this March the 22nd of 2015. We're going to get into the forum follow-up here real quick, but we're chowing down on all these lovely Japanese goodies that Akuma JP sent us in his care package from Japan, and Dark Sakura and I were kind of talking about some of our favorites, and I think hands down that pear chocolate brittle thing is the best.
I need like 50,000 more boxes of that.
But
I'm trying to find it.
What's your second favorite? The Pretz?
Probably the Melty Kiss that I forgot to bring.
Oh,
The Melty Kiss.
holding out on me, Dark Sakura.
Melty Kiss is one of my favorite Japanese candies.
I would say and I don't know what flavor this is. Maybe if Akuma JP is still in our chat, maybe you can tell
Topopo?
me. Yeah, the Topopo. I really like that. That's like my second favorite, I think, and I don't know what flavor that is.
Try the Pretz
Try the Pretz.
in the yellow package.
Okay,
try
I will.
The Pretz.
I will
Pretz are
try the
good.
Pretz next. Maybe that'll be my new favorite. But I need to get to our forum follow-up. We're going to go to our forums over at vognetwork.com where we do some follow-up topics from the show the week before. Over on the forums, we have a couple topics this week. I wanted to start with what was a very popular issue on our show last week that got a lot of people talking because, you know, our show is rooted in music gaming. So a lot of people were talking about the Bomani issue and why suddenly these cease and desists were going out to this network that was allowing the Beatmania 2DX machines and so forth to run in countries outside of Japan. So Dark Tetsuya responded to a post that I made over there saying, I did hear that on their registration site for the EMU's network that you can register an account if you live in the U.S. Personally, I'm hoping that Round 1 will expand even further in the coming months and years, or at the very least, this means that Konami will officially launch a worldwide network, or worldwide version of the EMU's network. I do find it odd that we've had the Japanese, Korean, bootleg DDR machines in this country for the past 15 years or so, and they just look the other way. But now they take issue with it. I do really hope it has to do with them wanting to launch EMUs over on this side of the world. And one interesting note on the streaming video as far as region locking is concerned, YouTube does do that sometimes. Last week I talked about how region locking is really done with, and, it's silly that we have all this region locking when the internet makes everything global. And Dartus, you reminded me, YouTube does this a lot where they block things. I think mainly for certain music videos in other countries, but I don't think that makes your point any less valid since there's ways to get around that too. YYR replied and said, so basically, Konami's global e-amusement service launched on the 19th. It looks more or less the same as before, but with the following changes. The site was semi-translated a little. Most of the text is in Japanese. You can now register a Konami ID in many more countries, including the USA, as Stark Tetsuya had mentioned. And that's it. Other than that, no changes or announcement. It appears that for the moment, there is no change as far as the service actually being offered in more locations, but we'll see what happens in the days to come. Rob, I really like your idea about the 30 to 50 mile radius. Thank you. I think it's pretty damn fair, but if Round 1 is currently paying to be exclusive, I don't know that their minds can be changed. Anyway, the site where the most current music gamers convene these days produced this. And I saw this floating around Facebook, and I'm sure many of you did too. It looks like a PowerPoint presentation. It says Konami internal use only, and it's titled 2015 Strategy and Planning. And the bullet points go like this. Fuck Hideo Kojima, fuck Metal Gear, fuck Silent Hill, fuck it, and fuck you. Oh, you guys. Then we had a user-started topic. Thank you, Flacco Jones, for participating in the forums this week over at vognetwork.com, saying that listening to the Classic Game of the Week segment, I couldn't help but wonder if the reason that Jones in the Fast Lane got a lot of jokes thrown its way might have been because of when it was released and where we are now in gaming. I know a lot of those CD-ROM games can be an acquired taste, and it got me thinking about games that don't hold up. Now, I can't judge Jones having never played it, but as far as games I used to love that don't quite hold up, the first game that came to mind is Siphon Filter. I used to love this game and spend a lot of time attempting the stealth missions on my roommate's PlayStation 1. I downloaded it on PlayStation 3 when it became available to play there, and I found it to be a mess. The camera bugged me, the controls weren't great, and the voice acting and story were bad, especially compared to Metal Gear Solid, which came from about the same time period and still holds up pretty well. So is there an old game you love that doesn't quite hold up anymore? I'm going to come around and ask in a moment. Let me finish up on the forums, though. I do want to point out, Bobby, not happy with what happened to the discussions last week, because I know he was a big fan of Jones in the Fast Lane. Live radio, folks, it's unpredictable. And Bobby saying, Jones does hold up, and was not happy with the way the game was portrayed on the show, which is fair. It is what it is. I did want to say, though, that, in part of my response, I do think there are some elements of Jones that are a little dated, because some of that puns and some of the things it does is an acquired taste. And the fact that, and I think Flacco hit on it in his first message, it was a CD-ROM based game, and it was really a genre you didn't expect to see that CD-ROM and full motion thing in. And I think that's what made it an easy target for jokes last week. But I think also as part of the reason why, when you kind of get acquired to that and you see that for the first time when you're 12 or you're 13 or you're a kid, you look at that and you go, oh my God, that's so cool. And that's part of the reason why I loved it personally myself. But I ended with this disclaimer, and I really do feel this way. Any classic game we have here that's more obscure than a Final Fantasy or a Mario, go check it out, draw your own conclusions. Of course, try to do it legally wherever possible, just saying. I did also give 2 examples on this, and 2 examples that I gave was Anticipation, which I also got some giggles on the show previously with the heels, but I mean, it makes sense. But like 20 years later, I don't even have to see the drawing. If I see the dots, I know what the damn puzzle is. Like I don't even need to see it anymore. So there's that. And then I didn't mean to pick on Rare, but I also thought about Pinbot, and I've talked a lot about how much I love that game on the NES, and I still do. But if you really think about it, it was kind of like the way they did the view in that game was kind of jank. And the fact that they really changed the table to add all these weird like monsters that come out and things, it's actually not really that cool in retrospect. That now you can download something like Pinball Arcade, you can actually get a full recreation of the actual table, and it kind of doesn't hold up in retrospect to that. However, YYR responded to me talking about Pinbot, saying, Pinbot was as awesome of a pinball table recreation as possible on the NES. Since playing it as a kid, I've played the actual table, and now I own the Pinball Arcade rendition, but I wouldn't have been as familiar with either one without the time I spent with Rare's NES version. Knowing the rules going in really helped, and I enjoyed the real deal a lot more than I possibly would have otherwise. So, I know you guys might want to answer Flacco's question. What is a game that you loved that doesn't really hold up? Dark Sakura.
Loom.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Good Old Games, I think, started selling a lot of those LucasArts games this week.
Steam has it as well.
Yeah, but that encouraged a discussion on Facebook where a friend and I were talking about Loom, and he was saying, like, yeah, for those 2 hours you play Loom, you'll have a good time. It's not a very long game.
Possibly even Phantasmagoria.
Oh, really?
Or the original Myst.
Yeah, and that's tough to hear because Phantasmagoria, my God, that game was so awesome, and nothing but love for Roberta Williams. But yeah, a lot of those CD-ROM games in general, they're rough to see now.
Dated and hard to watch.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, it makes it no less of a fun game. But you really have to put all of that aside.
Right.
Modern sensibilities need to check at the door.
You have to look at it through the lens of 1995 when this game came out. Loki, anything come to mind for you?
I can't really think of anything, although one game that is kind of giggle worthy, I guess, is Omega Boost. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
It's a mech
I remember
shooter
Omega
game.
Beast.
It's got music that doesn't really fit the game, but it's pretty awesome. It's just, that might not hold up now. I can't really think of a lot of stuff because, a lot of games I play were just like classic games on like the NES and stuff that still I think hold up pretty well. Maybe Mega Race, that game. Well, that's like a first generation.
That's a great CD-ROM example. Mega Race. I think that would be really hard to play today.
If you could even get the run. It's just like very.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
That'd be worth remaking, I think. But yeah.
Awesome. All right, some good choices. Interesting that a lot of these choices are all that CD-ROM game era that I think, and again, back to Flacco's original point, I think just games from that era, when you have today's technology, are kind of rough to watch. What about SimCity?
I was going to say
SimCity Action News. It was the best version of that game they ever made. Was you guys, it's a hurricane. Oh, man. Surely there's like a Kickstarter out there where somebody's trying to make like an old school CD-ROM game, just like we remember.
No, not necessarily that, but that studio that did Roundabout and stuff like that, they tried to do like the full motion video type stuff that's cheesy like that. So they did that with Gunstringer and then with Roundabout. So
That's right. I remember that. Hitstun pointing out that the Good Old Games version of Mega Race is actually really nice as far as full motion video games go.
Maybe have to pick that up.
I did not realize Good Old Games had it. That's awesome.
I may have to pick that up. Yeah.
I don't like to make flat out endorsements like this when I'm not being paid for it, but I just have to say, as somebody who does love the classic games, especially on the PC, I really gotta tip my hat for Good Old Games, because I feel like it's a real niche thing that they're providing, but I wish more people would check it out because there's so many. I wish they had more on it too. I realize some people are really holding out with some of the licenses and things, but there's a lot of good stuff on there. All right, anyhow, let's do some rapid fire news and quickly address some other news stories that have come up this week. Rapid fire, Loki.
Well, there's lots of games that are being redone or made to look nicer for the new generation consoles. Starting off with an announcement for God of War 3 being remastered. It's going to be coming out July 14th, and it's going to feature 1080p gameplay, and they're targeting 60 frames per second. Not much more is really known about that other than it will look slightly better than the PlayStation 3 version, so hooray. Then also to kind of go along with that, Gravity Rush is coming to PlayStation 4 as well. They're going to be remastering that game, which was originally on the Vita, and so that'll be coming to PlayStation 4 sometime in the near future. And then last but not least, Codemasters is teasing new Overlord game, which I kind of was a fan of the Overlord games. Never really got around to playing through number 2, but number 1 is pretty awesome. It's one of those games where you play the villain, which is kind of nice. And then, so they tweeted a picture of the Overlord helmet, and so maybe that'll be an announcement at E3.
All right. It's going to be an exciting E3 this year. We'll see. I mentioned earlier in the show during my gaming week that I was stepping it up on Diablo 3 with my hardcore character because I had to finish it, because it was announced this week that Season 2 in Diablo 3 will be ending soon. Season will be ending the first week of April, I believe. I thought I had the exact date here, but it is not here. Maybe somebody in chat will shout it out. It's not on the page I'm looking at. No, here it is. Season 2 ends Sunday, April 5th at 9 p.m. So that is the Season 2 end date in North America. Very interesting because this season went by a lot faster than Season 1 did. Season 1 lasted a good 4 or 5 months. Season 2, this means it lasted about 2 months. So I think Blizzard's trying to find that balance on, do people like the fast seasons or do people like the slow seasons? Or if judging from a lot of gamers out on Twitter are accurate, people aren't happy either way, no matter what you do.
That sounds more like it.
I like the fast seasons personally. I think that's the way to go, because the fast season means we're getting a patch really soon, and I think that's a good thing. So I say more fast seasons. Microsoft denying that a Gears of War collection is happening. Sorry, I know on the heels of the Halo collection, a lot of you hoping for a Gears of War collection, but Black Tusk Studios manager Rod Ferguson says on Twitter, quote, "I love the passion, but there's no Marcus Phoenix collection. We are working on other exciting Gears projects. I'll see you at E3. And then he slapped in the entirety of Twitter with a 2x4 to the face. Because, I mean, doesn't that kind of scream that they're going to announce something Gears related at E3? So, anyhow, there you go. Gears of War, of course, went to development at Black Tusk for Xbox One. As you know, Cliffy B is doing new stuff now. What is this new studio? Blue something? He's got a new venture somewhere. Yeah. Anyhow.
He's got that sketch combat game that looks like a bunch of pencil sketches.
Yes. You know what? I this is not the popular opinion, I totally realize, but I did not think Halo 4 was bad at all. In fact, I thought Halo 4 was probably much better than Halo 3 or any of the variety of spin-offs that came out after it. So, and that was when it was in new studio's hands. So you know what? Sometimes that fresh blood can kind of invigorate an old IP, which, not to get too in-depth, because I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but when Jamie was talking about Hideo Kojima and leaving Metal Gear and kind of talked about the Castlevania thing and can they do a new Castlevania without Itagaki, well, why not? They did a Halo without Bungie, and even though not everybody was a fan, I thought it was a pretty solid Halo game. So we'll see. Anyway. Nascent Games in chat at live.vognetwork.com agrees with me. Halo 4 was the one Halo game I beat multiple times. I genuinely enjoyed that game. Anyhow, the ZX Spectrum. What a throwback, right? Back to the 80s computer days, the ZX Spectrum. Well, you can also throw back to this. There is a new ZX Spectrum keyboard that has come out. It's the recreated Sinclair ZX Spectrum. It's a keyboard for tablets. So that's kind of neat.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, it's kind of neat, though. All it is, it's a Bluetooth keyboard, and you can actually put it with a tablet. And so I guess you can actually get like this Sinclair app for your iPad or whatever, and then you can actually hook it up with this keyboard, and it's just like having the old stinking Sinclair, which is pretty cool. So, if you were a fan of that. So
I wonder then if that would work to project it to an Apple TV so that you can play it on the big screen.
You know what? And they show in this somebody playing Spectrum on the TV, so I bet you that's exactly what they're doing. That's a very good thought.
Because you can play if you've got an Apple TV, you can play your iOS games.
Yeah, and they just had that price reduction, although I'm crossing my fingers and my toes. There's rumors that there'll be a new one soon, so I'm gonna see what happens. We'll see. All right, Dark Soccer, you have some other rapid fire news for us.
I do. Squeenix, the president Yosuke Matsuda said that there is going to be a box of surprises for 2015. They have a considerable amount of high-end games. It's a quote for both inside and outside the country. And this was for a Nikkei interview, so he was referring to Japan, of course. We've got Final Fantasy 15 is the start of it, but then this is a quote, I think we'll have a little surprise too, a JRPG for home game machines. So, who knows? Next up, PlayStation Now has a closed beta that starts this spring in the UK. Plus members are going to be among the first to use it, but they will have to register to get in on the beta. And I found a typo on the article. That was professional. It will be available on PS4 only, and PS Now is going to initially be free. But the later stages are going to have trial rental periods and pricing models to go out. Games included in the closed beta are Dirt 3, Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, God of War Ascension, Just Cause 2, Rayman Legends, Saints Row the Third, the full package, The Last of Us, The Walking Dead, and Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. And then, and this is really cool, there is a machine out called Smash-A-Ball, and it's meant to improve the memory and spatial awareness for blind kids. Basically, they have audio clues and different type of tactile stimuli that let them choose the right one. It's sort of like, for lack of a better description, blind whack-a-mole. The team that's developing it is trying to raise £100,000 or $148,000 on Kickstarter so that it can go into production. And if you pledge at least £180 or $267, you can get one of your own. But you can also contribute £50 and get other friends to do the same. And then for everyone who pledges $50, or it's not 50 pounds, the team will give a set to a blind child who needs it. So I would say definitely hop on Kickstarter and search for this device. It's called Smash-A-Ball. Smash-A-Ball. And right now, their U.S. goal, like I said, about $150,383. They've hit 17,000 of it right now. 25 backers, 16 days to go.
That's awesome. I'm glad we could bring a little light to that subject.
Yeah.
So
the video for it's pretty cool.
All right. Let's get to the Fugle question of the week, you guys. Every week we ask a question of our Facebook and Google Plus communities. Yes, Google Plus is still there for now, though I guess I heard Google Plus is going to change. Now it's like Google Streams or something because, I don't know. But anyway, for now, I'm still calling it Google Plus until a different name shows up. But you get the Fugle question of the week. Thank God I didn't call it like the Fluss segment of the week, or I would have had to change the name, but Fugle should still work, right?
The fellow.
All All right, this week, very simple question of the week. It's similar to our kickoff topic tonight because all I did is I said, I'm going to just leave this right here and ask for your thoughts. And I posted the trailer for the Pixels movie that we talked about at the top of the show. So I just want to know your thoughts, folks, on the Pixels trailer we saw at the top of the show. So over on Facebook, Usurping Slurpee says, the movie seems like shameless pandering to gamers, just like Chuck and Larry was pandering to the gay community. And let's face it, Adam Sandler hasn't made a decent movie in 10 years. Gonna wait till it's at Redbox. It's pretty harsh. I totally forgot that the Chuck and Larry thing was a thing because I remember seeing that trailer and my eyes rolled back so far I could see my fucking brain. Just saying. Red the Haze says, looks interesting and would watch it, but not pay any money for it. Yo ho, yo ho. Fifth Dream. Fifth Dream says, I saw the trailer on TV the other night. At first, I was kind of intrigued. Wonder what this could possibly be. Then I saw Adam Sandler and realized it would be a total piece of crap. I won't even bother watching it unless someone else pays for a rental, and then it would just be to see if I'm right about how dumb it really is. Andy R says, looks kind of dumb and pandering, but I might see it anyway, just to get some of that sweet cinema popcorn. That's a great reason. Critical Myth says, it would make a fine sketch or short, but how are they going to sustain this for an entire film? Cial says, I'll keep my expectations low and wait for it to come on TV. Tiger Claw says, I think it looks like it could be a fun movie. I love the idea of aliens using video games as weapons of mass destruction. Something we all take for granted because in video games you never worry about the repercussions because it's never real. Only this time the video games become real and are out to kill us all. So I see a bit of irony in this. The things we took for granted could be our end. This film combines one of my favorite genres, the alien invasion, but with video games instead of spaceships. And Bryce H., I think, sums it all up saying, it looks like a great movie, just wish it wasn't Adam Sandler. Let's go to Google Plus, however, and check out some of the answers there. We actually had a few answers over there. Dustin B says, I'll watch it. Looks awesome. I grew up on these games, and I'm glad when they get the movie treatment. I went to see Wreck-It Ralph, after all, even though I didn't have much interest in the show otherwise. I don't get people calling this a train wreck before they even have a chance to see it. Red Entertainment says, it's a movie produced by Happy Madison Productions, so my dad is going to love this. My dad has really bad taste. Facepalm. Act Def says, I like Adam Sandler movies, or at least some of his earlier work, but this movie is total utter crap. They made a Futurama 7-minute short into a full-length movie, and it's going to suck no matter what. I'd rather watch Wreck-It Ralph than this train wreck of a movie. And the Toro Iwatani nod is just plain fucking stupid and not funny. Ooh, some harsh language from Act Def. I'm going to put some soap in your mouth. Josh Y replied and said, for a big dumb summer movie, I'd probably watch it, subject to reviews. It seems rather heavy on fan service, though. And lastly, Cyberjudge says, I find Adam Sandler movies are hit or miss. Some of his movies I enjoyed, others I was not so impressed. That being said, a movie that has video games in it will at least get me to rent the movie. If reviews come out strong, I may go to the theater to watch it. Thank you to our Google Plus and Facebook communities for answering our question this week. Appreciate it. We already shared our thoughts earlier in the show, so we're a little behind on time. I want to make sure we have time to get in your calls, so we'll get back into the news. So, Loki, let's do some news.
All right, sounds good. So, yeah, they finally, it didn't take that long because they just, announced the first character last week, but they announced all 4 characters that will be a part of the combat pack that's available for Mortal Kombat X, and the pack will run you $30 for 4 characters. $30 fucking dollars for 4 characters? Okay, and that's basically the season pass.
Well, aren't they? They're throwing in some skins as well.
Woo!
Right?
Skins! Oh, my mistake. That's totally worth it then. Okay, anyways. So they already announced Jason Voorhees as a playable character last week. Also, Tanya. Tremor.
Love Tanya in 4.
Yeah, Tremor. Mm-hmm. And then the new character that everyone's getting their panties in a bunch about, the Predator.
Okay, that's kind of cool, though. I mean, I can't hate on that. Do you think maybe that's why this is so expensive? Is because maybe it cost them an arm and a leg, literally, Mortal Kombat, get it, to license Jason and Predator for this? So maybe this is how they recoup that money?
This is about what they charge for season passes, $20 or $30, and so, I don't know.
Dark Sakura, curious on your thoughts on being able to play as the Predator in Mortal Kombat X. Any interest at all?
Only interesting if we get the alien.
They're like in a later pack, we'll get the alien. I wish they'd bring back Freddy Krueger too. Like they can all throw down. This is
Here's
like
my thing is like if you don't give a shit about certain characters in that, just don't buy the season pass and buy them a la carte. But at the same time, it's really expensive for each individual character. You've got to imagine that. It is. That's at least it's not going to be an even $30 for that. It's not going to be $7.50 per download. It's going to be maybe a little bit more than that, like $10 or something. That's ridiculous for a single character. And skins. Oh, my mistake. Forgot about the skins.
Kaijudo says Jason and no Freddy, Predator and no Alien. Lame shit. Fifth Dream says, is Jason going to walk really slow? Because that won't fit in. And if he doesn't, he's wrong. Let's see. Act Deft agrees. Licenses cost money and Predator too. Bonds 006 says Fox Entertainment need that money. I can't imagine licenses don't play into it somehow. But you are right in that, okay, they're charging the same for Jason that they would for Tanya. And, Tanya isn't going to cost a bunch in licensing because that's their character. So it is a little bit, I don't know. And that's the character I want Tanya most of all. I'm telling you, that's the character I played like all the time. I loved her fatality where she jumped up on the guy's head and then went...
I don't care.
Yeah, and I just will say my concerns about Mortal Kombat X, again, like, I'm all for, like, cartoony violence, and I thought the old Mortal Kombat games were so over the top and stupid and great, but, like, as the graphics get better, I actually get a little more squeamish at some of the stuff I'm seeing coming out of the Mortal Kombat games, and I'm like, is this now going... Because I've told you guys before, I do not like the Saw movies and things that are just like the gore fest. Like, I'm not here for that. So I'm getting a little worried that Mortal Kombat might become a little too much. However, I do still feel my duty to the internet to buy Mortal Kombat X and make my mother play it and get her reaction. That I do feel like that is my destiny and what needs to happen. So for you, internet, I will. For you, I will.
The sacrifices you make.
That's right. The sacrifices I make. Moving on. Talking about an update on Steam. A subscriber agreement went out for Steam. Now, if you are a user of Steam, as more and more, promotional opportunities and broadcast opportunities come up on Steam, such as the Curators List and Steam Broadcasting come up, there's opportunities that users might be getting paid to give favorable mentions to companies. So as part of the Steam subscriber agreement that you're now agreeing to, you will need to disclose if you're being paid to promote a product on the service. This means if there's been a monetary exchange. This also means a free game key or physical goods. Quote, if you use Steam services, like this Curators List or the broadcasting service, to promote or endorse a product, service, or event in return for any kind of consideration from a third party, including non-monetary rewards like free games, you must clearly indicate the source of such consideration to your audience. You can find this in Section 6, Paragraph C of the new Steam subscriber agreement. So keeping everything...
Nice. I like that.
It's one of those things where I'm like, you should be doing it anyway. Steam shouldn't have to tell you to do it, but I understand the need. Now my question is, how do you enforce it?
The users will enforce it. They catch somebody, they'll just point it out.
We'll see. So there you go. Moving on, Dark Sakura.
Well, this is actually pretty cool. Bungie is putting in a colorblind mode in Destiny's next update. It's the 1.1.2 update. And so it will also add the ability to play your own music, adjust your teammates' chat volume, or mute the soundtrack. But the colorblind mode is letting other players see the game better. The community manager's like, we don't all see the world the same way. To provide a better solution, we increase the contrast between colors. We do have in the perceived palette. So basically, they're just really working on making it to where it's going to be an easier game for others to play.
That's great.
That being said, I actually watched this little video circulating around Facebook where they've created glasses that allow colorblind people to see color.
I saw that.
And I wonder how that works with a game.
Good question.
So, I mean, this is really good. But I wonder then if we're not going to see those glasses become more mainstream and this not be a need. Still good of them to consider the colorblind.
Absolutely. And just in general, there's been a lot of good news for accessibility in gaming. Like World of Warcraft just did something almost exactly like this about a month ago, where they put in like a patch that really lets you adjust colors so that, colorblind folks can have the world be a little more tailored for accessibility purposes. And then, of course, we've talked about the upcoming PlayStation update where it's not colors so much, but button mapping will be a part of the system firmware. So that way, even if a game neglects to do button remapping, you can override it in the PlayStation 4 firmware, and I think that's awesome. Because how many times have we sat here going, this game would be a lot better if you could just remap the buttons to something that makes a little more sense. And now,
or I've had it where gamepads will break slightly, and they're like, oh, my L3s or R3's not working or something like that, and I really wish I could map this to something else. Probably about last month on the show, it was a few weeks ago on the show, I gave that Qbert game, the Qbert Rebooted on PlayStation 4, I gave it a lot of shit and because it controlled like ass, and I still believe that, and I said it in the review I did at VOG. But, if on the PlayStation 4 firmware, I'm going to be able to turn the hops into using buttons instead, like I just would use the buttons, and for the left and right, use L1 and R1, I actually think that game could be playable. I don't think it would necessarily make it good. It's not going to fix all the problems that game had, but at least I wouldn't want to give up after literally 1 minute of playing it. So that'll be kind of cool. But anyway, I digress a little bit, but I think these accessibility things are really, really cool. So Hitstun in our chat room says, I want to update my VOG Jam game to include button mapping. You should do it. You should. I don't think Bobby would take issue to you updating the file at VOG Network. If he does, then he's being a mean, and he's holding that Jones in the fast lane thing against me far too long. Hitstun also says Able Gamers has great guidelines for developers to make stuff accessible. Rule number 1: let people remap the buttons. Very good. Very good. Dungeon Buster says, I don't think I've been back on Destiny for a few months or so now. It's interesting. I was thinking about it when I was putting together today's show roll and saw that this was something Jamie wanted to talk about on the show. It kind of did make me go, I do need to go check out what's changed to Destiny. It's been a while. Since I have it, and I have not played it yet. That and Watch Dogs.
I would play Destiny with you if you're curious about
stop buying games.
Checking it out. And last but not least, I love this comment from ActDef. This is by far the most important thing about the update with the music changing. ActDef says, finally, we can now play the moon theme from DuckTales when playing on the moon in Destiny. Yes, sir, you are correct. Perfect answer. Best news. More important than anything else. Okay, maybe not anything else. Loki, what do you have for us?
All right, so a lot of people may be running Windows on their PCs of choice. A lot of them also may be running not so legit copies of Windows. However, Microsoft is kind of okay with that currently as far as the upgrades to Windows 10, since those will be free. Basically saying, we're excited to launch Windows 10 this summer, and anyone with a qualified device can upgrade Windows 10, including those with pirated copies of Windows. We believe that the customer over time will realize the value of properly licensing Windows, and we will make it easy for them to move to legitimate copies. So that's kind of nice. I wonder what that means necessarily as far as limitations and stuff like that, or if it's just going to work and they're like, well, you'll just pay us when you feel like it.
Whereas the last 2 iterations of OS 10 have been free.
Well, and I think that's put pressure. I think that's probably exactly the reason
Linux
why.
is free.
Yeah. I think Microsoft had to reevaluate their model because all their competition is making money by having free operating systems.
So to be fair, though, Windows doesn't necessarily force systems to become obsolete when you upgrade or can't upgrade to future versions of OS X or iOS.
10.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what develops with this. Well, I don't know. But free. You know what? Who's going to complain about free? I'm not.
And the best part about it, it's also coming in the summer. So look forward to it. To an update, I guess, later on this year. And and it'll be free for anybody that has Windows 7 or Windows 8.1.
Now, YYR wants to point out this is not news. Copies of Windows 7 and Windows 8 that are currently not activated will still not be activated after the upgrade, and this will not change their genuine status. Dungeon Buster pointing out it's free forever, but the offer only lasts a year. And so there's some links being given out in chat, which I don't have a lot of time to read all of that right now live on air. But Dungeon Buster says if you don't upgrade in the year, you will have to pay for a Windows 10 copy.
That's stupid. And they can always change that, though. I mean,
but, and not that I'm endorsing it, but I'm just saying the reality is hackers going to hack. And do you think a year will be enough time for them to figure out how to override whatever locks they're going to...
They've already done it with every single other version of any, their OS that they've put out. So I don't doubt that, this will be hacked as well.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyhow, let's move on. We're going to get to the mailbag. Every week you guys send us emails to participate at orangeloungeradio.com, and Dark Sakura dives into the mailbag and pulls out some emails that she believes are worthy of our attention. Dark Sakura, what is in ye old mailbag this week?
YYR sends sup bitches. Oh, that was back from March 6th. Oops.
Oh, I might have just missed that last week. You weren't here last week, unfortunately. YYR did a guest correspondent segment on the show, and he did a very good job. And actually, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback to that. So I'm just going to throw this out there again. If you think you can do like a guest correspondent segment, and you want to, you think we're not covering a story well enough, and you want to do the story, send me an email. Talk to me about it. rob@vognetwork.com. And we'll try to make it happen. You have to keep it to like 5 or 6 minutes. Like I can't have you going on for 3 hours about it. But I really loved what he did last week.
Only we get to go on for 3 hours.
That's right. That's right. Still our show, damn it.
First email comes from Flacco Jones. Okay, OLR, here's my cracked out NX console theory. It's a portable / console hybrid thing. It looks more like an iPad than a Wii U tablet controller, but somehow retains physical buttons. It plays all the mobile games that they dream up, plus also plays traditional games. You can do that and play all the games solo, or for another $60 to $80, you can buy a separate piece of hardware that hooks to your TV and lets you play all the same games, but on the TV with friends connecting via controllers or their own Nintendo pads. It works like a reverse Wii U, where the bulk of the power is in the handheld, not in the device hooked up to the TV. So that's it, a one-stop shop. It's a handheld and home console, and it's a tablet, all at the same time, and all the games are made for one system instead of being spread out among different platforms. Maybe they can call it the Nintendo One.
The one's already taken for a console name. I don't know if Nintendo would want to do that. So, but the rest of the theory, I could see that. A lot of it makes sense, especially, you didn't sell me at first because in the back of my mind, I'm going, Nintendo's not going to give up the living room experience. They're not going to, Nintendo's bread and butter is that living room experience. And, but when you talk about, okay, but the power's in the tablet and you can beam it to a TV, there could be like a receiver or something, like maybe they bundle in or sell. I really don't think you could sell like a Apple TV, a Nintendo TV or whatever. I don't think you could sell that separately. It would have to be part of that base experience with a low cost, or Nintendo's not going to be able to do it. But I like where you're going with it. I would like to know more about how Nintendo's going to do online, maybe buff up Virtual Console a little bit. But anyway, I like the majority of the theory he's proposing there. We'll see. It could be anything. Who knew? Who knew that motion gaming was going to be the thing that Nintendo would do that would do so amazingly well? And who knew that when they embraced the tablet thing, a lot of people wouldn't get it? So we'll see. Was that it? Or is there more emails, Dark Sakura?
There's one more.
One more.
Hello, LR. On the subject of PlayStation Mobile ending, I'm not too surprised. Around September 2013, I believe, the subscription fee to become a developer went down from $99 to $0. So I signed up, installed the dev kit, and got started trying to put something together. Everything seemed easy until I needed to draw a texture on the screen. With XNA, this was one line of code, very easy. I searched the documentation but couldn't find a comparable function in the PlayStation Mobile libraries. So I went to the development forums, and amidst the why is performance so slow, and when is this going to be fixed threads, I asked how to draw a texture. Someone on the team started to explain that in order to do this, you need to set up a triangle to draw the texture on, and started to explain how to do this in 2D, and I gave up. I knew that the team behind Xbox Live Indie Games had already significantly reduced their developer support by that point, and the PSM developer forums seemed comparably quiet. I had a bad feeling about it, and it looks like I was right. I do, however, feel very bad for developers who won't be able to sell their work anymore. Neon FM came up in conversation. The game is a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed playing it, but there's one major problem with it. It has targets that move towards stationary versions of those targets, and you have to do something when they overlap. Konami claims ownership over this gameplay style, and Harmonix and Activision are just two entities that pay royalties to Konami as a result. I feel like the lawsuit bomb is just waiting to explode, and that makes me very sad, especially seeing as how they'll probably wait to drop it until Neon FM actually becomes popular, and a sequel is about to come out. Freaking Konami.
I don't know if they can still do that, though, because like we were talking about earlier with the case against Data East and Capcom, I don't know if you can't really copyright gameplay. So I don't know how they would... I mean, I guess they can try bullying you with lawyers, and if you agree to pay licensing towards it, I don't know.
Loki asked for a Zelda maker, but I see some problems with it. Allowing us to create even more of our own scenarios might reduce demand for official Nintendo products. Also, devoted Nintendo fans may run out of amiibos to collect. Disaster! But here we can fix both of those problems. Nintendo can just release another line of amiibo consisting of all the different Zelda enemy characters: Octoroks, Stalfos, Peahats, Likes, etc. Then, in order to put a particular character in the game, you have to touch the amiibo to your Wii U gamepad first.
Nope.
But what if you successfully manage to collect all of the amiibo?
Do not want.
Simple solution. Each amiibo can only be tapped 10 times before you have to go buy another one. Genius. Another great new Nintendo experience.
No, sit down.
Well, you know what? It sounds like they're really gearing up for mobile then, because that's the...
Enjoy it with your family. Hugs and kisses, Aaron YYR.
I don't think that it would make less of a demand for Zelda games. If anything, I think it would be, because why make Mario Maker then? Because Mario is your biggest breadwinner for Nintendo. Obviously, they're not worried about that. And we're talking about like an old style of the game, anyways. Mm-hmm. I'm talking old NES, SNES Zelda.
Where every gamer has a voice, but I'm taking yours away after that. No, we can't. I can't have those ideas out there in the universe. I can't. There is a remote possibility that Reggie Fils-Aimé listens to this show in his car. I'm sure he eagerly awaits every new episode as he gets on his plane to fly from
You're
Washington
smoking
to
some
Japan.
crack, Robs.
Yes, and someday when
I can't have him hearing that.
Put down the Topopo.
Someday when I go to one of these
tasty.
Nintendo press conferences far in the future, he'll look out into the audience and be like, "You."
And he will bring you up on stage and punch you in the face. He will. You better believe
and
it.
I will fully embrace that. That's fun.
YYR in chat over at live.vognetwork.com says you can only use the voice 10 times. Oh, everybody's been asking me when this show is finally going to make some damn money. Oh my God, YYR, you're a genius. I'm going to limit the amount of calls you can make to this program until you join the OLR Premium Club. How's that? No, I'm kidding. People. I'm kidding. Get your finger off the pause
That's
button.
it. We'll call it the...
I'm sorry.
We'll make them OL Army officers.
I'm sorry. If you'd like to shit some more in this game, you're going to need to purchase more taco bucks in order to purchase tacos.
All right. Let's get into the FUs. That's it for the mailbag tonight. Participate at orangeloungeradio.com if you would like to send us some emails for the future. I'm sure what I just said might spurn some more emails. We'll see there. All right, let's get to the FUs of the week. Every week here, we like to say FU to a few things that are bothering us in the game world and beyond. Why? Because after 591 episodes, we do have a fuck to give.
Oh, this is bad. Here is justice. Here is punishment. This is fucked up.
Fuck you to human frailty and mortality. That's it.
Loki.
Fuck you for not having enough time to work on all these awesome game ideas I have. I have another idea for a puzzle game. that incorporates a phrase I've been using on this show for a long time, and it's so goddamn hilarious. I just can't wait to prototype this thing once I'm done.
Joy! Another game for you to start when you haven't.
No,
finished.
it's gonna be quick. It's a simple concept,
no,
but it's
God.
just so ridiculous and
Bobby Blackwolf is currently looking at his brain.
whatever.
Loki.
I'm still gonna finish this first, but when I'm done.
All right, let's see. My FU of the week. My FU of the week goes to my old Keurig machine. I'm surprised our soccer didn't comment when she walked in here. My old Keurig machine finally bit the dust this week.
In what way?
After 5 years, it will no longer. It can't suck anymore. The water will not suck. It's gone from suck to blow. Anyway, there it is. So yeah, I had to go out and buy a new coffee maker this week. But I will say, the new coffee maker is a little faster. So I like getting my coffee fast.
You know how bad those are for the environment, though.
Okay, Debbie Downer, I want my coffee. I saw those things where you could turn them into little planners and cute shit, and I'm fine with that. That's fine.
Okay.
I also have a reusable K-cup that I do. He uses it more than I do.
I got it for you.
Yeah.
I
have like 2 or 3 of them.
I
you
did
bought
buy
us
you
one?
a box of K-cups at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yay! I love
Fuck
Dunkin'
you,
Donuts.
environment. I mean,
All
wait.
right. Anyhow, there it is for the FUs of the week. So we have one more story, and then we are going to open up the Skype line over at 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. But the last story I have for you guys has to do with Tetris and how Tetris is being used for educational purposes. The European Central Bank creating a game called Tetris New 20 Euro. You can play this in your browser, and it's a variation on Tetris that will let you learn security facts about the new 20 euro note, because people like to counterfeit money, and so they do. And they do the same thing in the U.S. They've redone the $20 bill I don't know how many times, and they always put all these new security things in it, like you can hold it up to a light and you see the strip, and there's like heat sensitive ink and all this crazy stuff. So I'm sure the 20 euro note is no different. But what's interesting about this is that they're using Tetris, and when you beat a level, you learn a fact about how to fake a 20 euro bill. Just kidding. Obviously, you don't want to fake them. But did you know that, as one sample fact here, the portrait of Europa, who's pictured on the bill, becomes a transparent hologram if you hold it up to the light? So there you go. If you're horrible at Tetris, though, you'll still be trying to use a copy machine to copy $20 euros because you won't get to learn anything about the security facts. And obviously, I'm making jokes. Don't copy money. Don't end up arrested as a result of this show.
Don't copy that euro.
Yeah, don't copy that floppy or that euro. Skype line is open. It's that time. 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, which Skype's on every stinking device these days and phone. Orange Lounge Radio, all one word if you want to give us a call. Over in the chat room, some concern over my coffee there. SSJ100 Matt says, Rob, just don't get those Keurig 2.0 machines because they're coffee DRM. Oh, you better believe it. We researched, and we stayed away from the 2.0 machines. They actually still have a 1.0 model, at least Target did. So that, honestly, the model I picked up is almost
What do they do? They
exactly like
scan
my
the-
old machine. There's a little chip that can read if the foil is genuine on the cup. And if it's not, then it will reject it. It will not brew the coffee. It says, I will not brew coffee.
So it has to be licensed by Keurig?
Yes. Oh, you didn't hear about the coffee DRM? Oh, it's awful.
I didn't give a shit about
None
that.
shall brew.
None shall
I don't
brew.
have one of those. I use a drip.
Yeah. But, people found a way around it. Do you know what you do?
You save the foil from the
You just save
previous
the
one?
foil from the one before and put it right on top of the new one. How easy was that?
I guess.
Jeez, coffee DRM. What will they think of next? Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey, this is Hack Def.
Hey, Hack Deft. What's on your mind, my friend?
So, you're one of us.
Oh, God, the amiibo thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Did I talk about it on this show, or was that only on Bobby's show? I don't remember. I got the Wii Fit Trainer amiibo from Akuma JP, but that was a gift, so you can't hold that one against me. But this week, I guess I didn't. I talked about this on Bobby's show. I didn't talk about it here. So this week, a friend of mine wanted to go buy Pokemon for his new 3DS because he just got one of the new 3DSs, and he didn't even have any 3DS at all. But he wanted to get Pokemon. So we actually went to GameStop And you guys know I don't ever go to GameStop either. We went in, and sure enough, sitting on the shelf, Mega Man amiibo. And I was like, I have to have it. I want it. So everything I've said about I'm done with this amiibo game, I'm over it, I'm not supporting it anymore.
I'm not shopping at GameStop.
I'm not shopping at GameStop. That Mega Man looked me in the face and said, please love me. Capcom stopped loving me a long time ago, but won't you love me and take me home? So I bought it, and now it has a home sitting on my shelf.
I'm not surprised about you buying the amiibo because if you look up the Mega Man amiibo, it's one of the pretty much better looking ones.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm more surprised of you buying the GameStop, especially after my rant about it like months ago.
You know, it was one of those things where my friend was like, let's go to the mall. We can go to these different places, and I can go to GameStop. And I'm not going to be the type to say like, oh, no, friend, listen to me. You can't shop at GameStop because that's what, you know what? I'm not going to ruin somebody's day. just fine.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, go fine. So it is what it
Yeah,
is.
that's it. It's if you have something there's on GameStop, if you want to buy it, well then buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, speaking of the amiibos, pretty much I have also expanded my collection a little bit. Sorry, a little hoarse here.
that's all right. Alan is very sick this week, actually. He hasn't dropped on the show this week because he's not allowed to bring germs into the studio. So,
But yeah, I got some of the new amiibo. I got the Toad amiibo and the new Yoshi amiibo too.
yeah, actually, I saw they also had it at GameStop. They had the new Luigi and the new Princess and some of those Super Mario amiibo. But I could one only Mega Man. I'm doing it, and I'm not buying all these other ones as well. So at least I didn't like totally because there is a part of me that would have been like, I'm buying 10. I'm buying all 10 you have on the shelf. I'm buying them all. But I resisted that. So
Yeah, I'm limited myself too. I'm pretty much only collecting, or at least will try to collect all the Smash Brothers ones. But I got the Yoshi one because it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the Toad one because of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
And what does Toad do in Toad Treasure Tracker, the amiibo? I haven't played that yet.
It isn't that much. It has a new mode of gameplay, if you can say it like that. It in each level of the game, it hides a pixel Toad, an 8-bit Toad, basically, and you have to find it.
Oh.
And after you find it, you have to tap your gamepad, and that's pretty much it. Some of them are easy, and some of them are pretty hard to find. In one of the levels, I pretty much lasted lasted like 10 minutes trying to find him after I finally found him, and it's pretty much really fun. It has a little bit of replayability if you have finished the game, like me in this case. But yeah, it's a free little but fun addition. So if you have Treasure Tracker, you can pretty much get a Toad. It's not that hard to find. There a lot of stores have them.
Yeah.
So if you want to add a little bit of to that, you can buy it, and again, it's fun and it adds that replayability to the game.
All right, well, that's good to know about. I think I didn't play enough of Captain Toad. I bought it and I played a little bit of it, but then I just, ooh, shiny, a new game over here. Ooh, I got to play 11 more hours of Final Fantasy 14 because I thought it would be a good idea to start grinding the books in that game. So, things happen to distract me, but I like Captain Toad. I need to go back and do some more levels and play with this amiibo stuff for sure.
Yeah, Captain Toad is a really great game to play like in little bits.
Yeah.
Since it's a short game, you don't need to spend that much time like playing it. So yeah, you can play it and with the Toad amiibo you can add a little bit more. Sorry.
It strikes me as the kind of game too, Captain Toad, that might be all right on a tablet. I wonder.
Maybe,
I don't know,
but
parts of it would. Parts of it would. Like, obviously, there were some levels, like when you're in the minecart and stuff, that might be a little more difficult and might not translate so well. But, like, the base game, or at least, like, the levels as they were in Mario 3D Land might kind of work. I don't know.
Maybe, but don't know. The controls would be really kind of awkward, but maybe it could work.
Maybe.
All
right. Well, Act F, I'm going to let you go to get more calls, but thanks so much for calling in tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No, of course. Anytime. Take care. 1-877-GAME-OLR or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, all one word. Tiger Claw shared this in the chat room, and I got a kick out of this. I had heard that the new Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat X, was going to be bringing a new type of, you know how they have fatality, babality, and all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
There was going to be a new type of ality that came into Mortal Kombat X, and they revealed it this week on Twitter. Ed Boon wrote a tweet that says, "What happens when your opponent disconnects during an online match? You are rewarded with a quit-ality." Is the new, it's a quit-ality. That is fucking brilliant. I love it. And there it is, a little picture there of a quit-ality, because your opponent rage quit. I love that. Darsakra, you like that? A quit-ality?
I am smirking deep within my soul.
You couldn't do that back in the day. Well, I guess you could. You could just say, like, throw your hands up and just walk away. Fuck this game. Just walk away. But then, you know, you lost your quarter, so, or 50 cents, depending on where you gamed at. All right, we got another call coming in, so let's do it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey, it's Ranma.
Hey, Rama. How you doing?
Not much. I'm all right. How about you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I called because I don't know if you realize, but you did break one of the cardinal rules of OLR and VOG.
I shopped at Evil G.
Yes, you have to give your penance.
Hail Betty White. Hail Betty White. Hail Betty White.
Nah, my brother, you got to do a little bit more than that.
Okay, what?
1,000 B. Arthurs, 2,000 Betty Whites, and 300 Fairchild Channel Fs.
I'll get started on that right after the show.
Good.
Love it. So you're very upset at me for my shopping adventure?
No, I'm just busting your balls about it because you kind of got on me when I talked to you about G4 years ago. So I think we're even now.
I appreciate the listeners looking out. That's the last time
because we love you.
I'm never. You know what? I'm not tweeting that shit in the future. In the future, I'm just gonna be. Somebody's gonna come over and be like, "Rob, when did you get a Mega Man amiibo?" And I'm just gonna be like, "I don't know. Maybe Alan bought it.
Just appeared.
I think Alan got it. I wasn't looking."
Oh, why are you gonna blame him? Come on.
Okay, fine. I'll blame the cat.
Rob.
I love you even more for it.
Thrift store.
Yeah, Sanrio brought it in from the backyard.
Thrift store.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I found a Mega Man amiibo for $20 at the flea market in Mobile, Alabama.
Did you really?
I did. I almost bought it. And then I was like, wait, I just bought 2 Atari controllers for $3.
I wanted.
And one of them is kind of rare.
I wanted to go to the flea market this weekend here in Sac, but I just.
Let's go to the flea market next week.
I'm going possibly to
Too bad,
Reno
we're
next
going.
week. I may be in Reno next week, which. Yeah, apparently I got to check out some arcades out there. Tiger Claw may not realize this, but I was actually on Google Plus, and I was posting the Orange Lounge Radio question of the week on Google Plus, and some comment he made on a video that was like a Reno arcade thing actually showed up in the feed, and of course I looked at it and I was like, I want to see this, and I didn't realize they have this arcade up in Reno that has like quite a few classic games at Peppermill, which is why I never realized it was there, because why on earth would I go to the Peppermill Casino? But I need to check it out. Apparently they've got a lot of classic games there. So thanks, Tiger Claw. You didn't even know. You gave me a tip without realizing it. You got to watch what you plus one. Anyway, what else is on your mind, Rama? Anything?
I know that. I just called, to playfully give you shit for going to the Evil G, or as I like to call them, Shame Stop.
Well, I appreciate it. It's fine. What's coming up on Anime Jam Session this week?
Well, we are getting ready for Zenkai Con this weekend. Mako is still working on the outline, so I'll know what we're definitely talking about. But there was an interesting article about furry cosplay and how it's come along a long way, and it's really articulate and really nice. So there's no more the whole cosplay versus furries thing. It's like we've kind of made peace. We're happy now. We've all worked together.
All right. That's cosplay is for everybody, right?
Yes, and that's what is starting to take a stronger trend now, because now that you got cosplayers who are trying to do it for the publicity and this and that, the trend is now moving from that towards fun, and now why not both?
Porque no los dos. All right. Take care, my friend. I'm going to let you go so we can get some more calls. Thank you for calling in to yell at me.
Hey, no problem, because I love you.
All right. Mwah. Bye. Bye. 1-877-GAME-OLR, username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. Akuma JP in chat asking, did I start something I'm not supposed to? Rob is shopping at Evil G. No. Don't blame you. I did not know about your gift, actually. I did not know about that until, actually, it was when Jamie called me yesterday evening. So, funny enough, only like a few hours after buying that Mega Man did I even find out that you had bought the generous gift that you gave me. But even if that wasn't the case, I mean, it would be pretty cool. I just love the fact that, dude, I got an amiibo that actually came from Japan, and the fact that it came from a listener is like super cool as well. Like, even if it was something like, even if you'd sent me like an Xbox One game, and I don't even own an Xbox One right now, I'd be like, that's so cool that somebody did that. So at least the Wii Fit Trainer amiibo, I can use that, and I'm going to train that, and I'm going to enter that amiibo in some tournaments. You better bet. And it'll be awesome. All right. So anyhow, 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, if you want to call in here. While we wait to see if the phone lines go off, asking Loki or Dark Soccer real quick, any last-minute stories you guys might have?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Driver franchise is coming back, because I'm really excited how the Driver series has gone. This time, it's coming back as Driver Speedboat Paradise, which is an Android and iOS game. And it looks exactly like, Hydro Thunder. Hooray! And then I was going to also mention that there's a brand new game jam that's going on now called the Boob is Life Game Jam. That's celebrating boobs in games.
I gave that the benefit of the doubt for like a half minute, and I was like, oh, is it like maybe like breast cancer awareness? Like, is it trying to bring and raise? Nope. Okay. Oh, it's just, it's porny. Okay. I see. That's too bad. I thought there might have been a good note there. I suppose not. What if, okay, wait, what are the rules of the boob game jam?
There's only one rule. The only rule is it must have boob in game. Any size, big or small, a mini boob or not mini boob, main feature or small feature must have female boob is best thing on planet, but man boob, moob, okay if insist.
Okay. I was going to ask, are man boobs okay?
Yes.
All right, so man boobs are okay. Good. Then I don't have to read this whole thing going on there. Whatever. It's the internet, people. There's something for everything there on the internet. 1-877-GAME-OLR, or a username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, if you want to give us a call. Last chance to get in before we close it up for the night. Anything else, Loki?
There's supposed to be a tease being done by Famitsu about some sort of new game that's coming out for the DS and Wii. I'm assuming they mean Wii U. Something by Level 5, maybe Dragon Quest-ish, but not sure what.
Level 5 did Fantasy Life, so we already know that sequel's coming, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on something there, too.
That'd be kind of cool if it was for the Wii U as well.
Would be nice. Tiger Lad sent me this earlier in the night. Apparently, Roller Coaster Tycoon World, the graphics are being changed because fans complained. There was a gameplay trailer that came out, and fans weren't happy with it after the trailer came out.
Well, they said, yeah, I remember reading, they said, it's from pre-alpha footage, that's why.
Yeah, don't get mad, people. Don't get mad. Supposedly, this game is coming in mid-2015, so if those graphics have to be changed, I'm going to think they're going to do it quick. But it was a pre-alpha. Don't panic, people. Don't panic. Please give us your money. Please. Here it is. All right. Let's see here. 1-877-GAME-OLR, or a username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, if you want to give us a call. I guess I'll leave that open for one more minute here because I see some people in chat might be trying to get through. So we'll wait on that real quick here, but then I'm going to close it up. Any other stories?
I got nothing else.
Yeah, it was kind of a slower week this week. I mean, you had some big stories, some big news, but then outside of that, it was kind of slim pickings. So, all right. Well, sadly, it doesn't look like the phones are lighting up there, so I am sadly going to have to close it down. I'm sorry to those that didn't get through, but please consider sending us an email over at participate@orangeloungeradio.com. You can also tweet at us, twitter.com/OLR. If you want to send us your thoughts after the show. Of course, many folks also participate in the forums. Sometimes we get some comments on the episodes as well over at vognetwork.com. I mentioned this earlier in the show, but next week on the show, we're going to have talk a little more about the Sacramento Indie Arcade event that's happening in April that we're going to be broadcasting live from. We're going to have Brianna and Gabriel here in studio live to talk about that event, and I know Gabriel is going to want to talk about his game that just had a demo go to Desura today, Crumple. So they'll be on the show next week, and we can talk all about all those things, and they'll also be here with us to chat and laugh at the news with us next week. So that's to look forward to next week. Also coming up in the month of April, Kyle Ward going to be coming on the show. I think I mentioned that before. Kyle Ward, of course, has a long history with music games. He's got new games coming out, Ditto Beat and Re-Rave now on Android devices, Re-Rave Plus. He will be on the show in April. We're still working out exactly what date that is going to be. So we're working out some other guests as well for the month of April. So we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to look forward to coming up in the coming weeks. But now is the part of the show where I say thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for supporting independent radio. Thank you for downloading our show. If you liked what you heard here at Orange Lounge Radio, please tell a friend or 2 or 50 about the show. Help spread the word because, you know, we're not supported by some big website. We don't have a big budget. We just do this because we love games and we love you guys and the family that we have here that turns out every Sunday night. And we just want it to grow with more cool, awesome people. So tell a friend or 5 about the show. And if you really can't think of anyone to tell, you could always leave us a nice review on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Those reviews, I tell you, they go a long way. Wherever you found out about the show, please leave a nice review and let someone else find out about it too. It's time to go around and get everybody's final thought for the night before we can wrap up. Loki, we'll start with you tonight. Your final thought.
Still trying to figure out what the title my second level here of my game, because I'm trying to give it like a funny title for each one, but without kind of giving away what the gimmick is. I don't know. We'll figure it out, I guess.
All right.
And what the hell am I going to do with this amiibo? I guess I'll put it on my shelf.
It is. Well, I mean, the nice thing about amiibo, they're good figures too.
Yeah, there.
So
stand in the box.
You do have well, the kids might be too young.
Kids
for
will
that.
eat that.
Kids
thing.
will eat that. They can appreciate it in a couple more years, though. All right. My final thought for the night. My final thought is, oh my God, those pear candies. Like, how many years is it going to be before I get to have another one? I need some place in Japantown and SF must have those, and we must find them. Dark Sakura. I'm just saying.
They didn't have it at Oto's last time I was there, so we will. That's what we need to do, Rob. We need to make a pilgrimage to Japantown for candy.
Sounds good to
Have
me.
you checked like Koreana Plaza or something like that has like a bunch of like stuff from all around. You know?
Oh, over in Rancho?
Yeah, they have like all sorts of
That's
stuff.
right. I forget they have more. Like, because when I lived
Didn't
over
they buy every store next to them?
Yeah, when I lived over there, they didn't really have anything, but now they've got a ton of
It's
stuff
this
over there.
huge, thing.
Yeah,
So you might check over there.
Well, Dark Sakura, we might have to make a trip. We'll see. All right. Anyhow, Dark Sakura, last but not least, your final thought for the night.
Bye, bitches.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back in 7 days to do it all over again. Have fun gaming. Be civil to each other. Have a wonderful night. Good night.
You've been listening to Orange Lounge Radio. Orange Lounge Radio is a production of OLR Studios. To join us for a live show, tune into vognetwork.com Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff of Orange Lounge Radio or VOG Network, but you know they were all still true. See you next week.